go racing.
The pressure is really on now. And it's pole position.
And it's pedal to the metal. Go, go, go!
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to PSGL. It is the grand finale of tonight's phenomenal season, season 29 in the PC F1 Championship. And I'm proud to announce I'm obviously not alone again. I have got the man himself, Dan Field, joining me in the commentary box. And Dan, we are braced with anticipation. The championship's been decided, both the drivers and the constructors, but if anything, that just heightens the tension for tonight because these drivers are going to be going all out tonight.
Oh yeah, absolutely. They've got nothing to play for anymore. Everything has been wrapped up. And I think drivers are going to go hell for leather for the final bit of glory in season 29 before we go off on our break for the F1 esports season. They're going to make it a cracker tonight, George. I can tell.
Oh, you know, I'm so eagerly anticipating this event tonight because obviously, like you said, the precipice has now been reached. Esports is around the corner. All the teams are getting prepared for it, hence why we've got a few changes in the lineups, folks, heading into next week. We're looking forward to seeing how they fare tonight. Obviously, Portimao, new track on the calendar as well, so we've got a lot of variables on the table. A lot of the drivers who featured in F2 yesterday as well have jumped up into Tier 1 here today. A couple of faces that you might recognise as well, the likes of Tom97, of course, Veloce, content creator, the likes of others such as Ruben Pedreño, as some of many too. And I can already see the live chat is already booming with anticipation. You guys have come in a force tonight. We'd like to say a big thank you to all of you for dropping by. I just want to say in recognition of that fact, folks, tonight's race, and I've said it myself, this race is about you guys at home. Without you guys, we would not have the strength of steel that we have, on these broadcasts. You guys have really driven PSGL to the forefront, and we do appreciate all your support. We have really turned a huge page in the world of league racing, and certainly F1. The league racing community is nothing but thriving right now, and it's all down to you guys at home and all the hard work that's been put in by all the admin teams, the drivers, everybody. All of you contribute to the massive success of league racing that it is today, and I just want to say a big massive thank you to all of you. But damn, we've got a huge race tonight. Portimao, 15 corners around this track. Turn 1 very treacherous. You got that very quick joltering right-hander. I remember Lance Stroll nearly coming to an end round there last time we raced here, and turn 2 obviously almost like a part 2 of that first initial turn 1 section into turn 3 at Lagos. Then you're coming round into turn 4, that long straight up towards Tora Vip, heading around turn 5. Then you've got a bit of a roller coaster section heading around sector 2 before you then reach the high-tail, high-powered section of sector 3, where you make the turn out of turn 14 at Sagre into 15 at Gulp and round the final corner past the home paddock straight. It's certainly going to be an action-packed night tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm almost coming into this completely in the blind. I think I've driven the track maybe twice or something. I've never commentated it over myself. I don't know about you there, but I'm expecting obviously every week I'm expecting the best from these guys, but I think it's going to be kicked up another level, especially since it's a bit of an uncertainty. You know, a lot of these guys, if they weren't racing in leagues like WRR, I think they've raced there as well. It's a bit of uncertainty into how this race is going to turn out, and I think we could see some surprises from some drivers that we might not normally see at the top, George.
No, I 100% agree with you. I think if we look at it on paper, we got lots to be excited about. I mean, if we go through some of the drivers that are racing tonight, obviously Mercedes going with their usual full-strength team. They've got Jarno Opmeer and Danny Moreno in the seat. They're the current champions in terms of a team's championship. Jarno Opmeer has taken the PSGL PC Championship as well, so congratulations to those those. But Red Bull are going with Ruben Vallejo and Piotr Stachulek as well. We got Aston Martin, Lucas Blakely with Louis Welch as well. McLaren, Antoine Desilewski, as well as Wilson Hughes, who was just recently signed to Veloce himself. Alpine have gone with Luke Smith and Ulas Gilderim. Ferrari have got Ben Chiabo Cogni, as well as Simon Perigny as well. You got AlphaTauri, you got Noberto and Samuel Bean. They're pairing for that race, for that team in the race tonight. We've got Joe Hannon as well, along with Tom 97 driving for Alfa Romeo, with Haskell and with Jake Benham as standard. Ruben Pedreño joins him in the team. Williams have gone with Dylan Warren and CRG Gamer, of course known as Sam Corby. Plenty of high-octane fuel drivers there looking to try and garner their best possible results. And a huge opportunity tonight for those up-and-comers, Danfield, to really make a statement.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You know, I love a lot of these drivers that are coming up onto the grid, especially the likes of Sam Corby. You know, good friend of mine, and always enjoy a nice little race of his. So it's lovely to be able to commentate over him as well. And we've also got some brilliant names, young up and coming stars coming into this grid. So I'm really excited to see what these guys have to offer. It's a nice change, I'd say.
It is, and a very nice change-up, and it's always refreshing. We like to see new talents. Obviously, it's great to see the stars of the future coming into roost, and I'm personally looking forward to it. It's going to be extraordinary. We're just getting ready to get into the lobby, folks, so very shortly we will be back bringing you some more racing action and lots to certainly talk about. But obviously, we've had a very, very thrilling championship this season. Obviously, we were very disappointed that we had to cut it short. Naturally, we were going to go a lot longer than where we are right now, but if anything, we're just preparation for esports is paramount for a lot of these teams, and we're seeing the likes of Alpine now who are going all in for next week, where it all commences and we get to see these drivers once again circulating in F1 esports. Naturally, Mercedes are going big on their game plan of league racing as well, and I have to say it's really nice to see a lot of these top talents really making an appearance in league racing as well. Jana Watmir came out in an interview I did with him last week stating how important league racing is to that of the top end drivers, and the fact that he enjoys it as well. And that is the thing, league racing is enjoyable. It's a community event. Everyone here, including us, we're volunteers as well. We get involved on the commentary side, and we do it because we love it. We're passionate about the sport, folks, and that's exactly why we're here, and we get to bring you the live action every Thursday, and I'm personally very, very excited about that. So, you know, do brace yourself. It's going to be a hellacious ride tonight. But any tips from yourself tonight, Dan? Any thoughts, any feelings? Because obviously we've got the very standard formation that we have in qualifying. Obviously, you've got Q1, Q2, Q3, then heading into the race. Who are the eye catchers for you heading into tonight?
Oh God, I've got to look at the grid again. You know, it's all a bit too new for me. I'd say we can expect some good stuff from the likes of Luke Smith. I think he's been really rising up the ranks recently in league racing. You know, he's moved, I believe, to WR Esports now, and he's working with some of the best guys on in league racing. I think you've always got to watch out for the likes of OMG It's Joe. We've not really seen him too much this season, so I think it is going to really be a test of all these guys, and I think that certainly some of them can pull something out of the bag, I'd say.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, personally, I've got my eyes set on a few people. Sam Corby, of course, very, very quick gamer, pulled off an absolute worldie middle of the week on PlayStation. Absolutely sensational at China. Coming in, though, tonight, Portimao, a very, very different circuit. Though another man I've got to keep my beady eye on is Wilson Hughes. Now, Wilson Hughes has had an extraordinary rise recently. Has recently been signed to the McLaren Academy. And naturally, they see a lot of talent in him, as do I. Obviously, a former and multiple PlayStation champion. And he, of course, joined by the likes of Jake Benham as well. Jake Benham, a force as well. Now, this is a huge opportunity tonight because, of course, the esports field has been greatly reduced. We've only got Otmir, Moreno, and Blakely. Blakely himself in with a great chance tonight, of course. Hasn't had the luck go all his way this season, Danfield. So could be a chance for Lucas Blakely to do it on the final night of the PSGL Season 29 PCF1.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd say that Lucas has probably been the most unlucky driver so far this season. He came so close to winning it last week in China, and then it just it was so upsetting. Of course, it was brilliant to see Jan Otmir take the win, but I think Lucas Blakely, he deserves a break, really and truly. He's had it tough this season, and I think the position that he's in the championship doesn't properly represent him as how quick he is. So I really think he does need this just for a bit of confidence coming into esports, I'd say, next week.
It's all helpful at the end of the day. Experience around a track, it's vital. And it's going to be interesting to see who is going to be best positioned to pull that off. I'm personally, I can't wait. It's going to be extraordinary. But yeah, we'll brace ourselves, folks. It's going to be a great ride. Lots to look forward to. And obviously lots of drivers now making their way up as well. Lots of people getting signed. Benjamin Conny has been signed by Ferrari as well. Extraordinary season from him to see him now up at the top tier and battling as well. I mean, I've commentated on Benjamin Conny for quite some years, and he has been absolutely sensational, and we're looking forward to seeing how he gets on. Top 97, another man as well, very much known in the world as a content creator, but his work in league racing has been extraordinary. I did tip him actually yesterday in the F2 race, but he did unfortunately get spun after the pit stop phase, and I actually predicted he'd do well. He did actually pull off an excellent stop strategy, but unfortunately it got unraveled after a little mistake, heading around, got squeezed at turn 13, I believe it was, and that left him out to dry. But nevertheless, you'd expect him to be quick again, and all the drivers now making their way out into qualifying, and the sun is shining here, Danfield.
Yeah, it's looking nice, clear blue skies out in Portugal. I've actually been to this circuit. I went karting around the karting circuit near here, so this is a little bit of a sentimental one for me when I was visiting Portugal, I think 2019 or something. So it's brilliant to see that F1 has finally come to what is a brilliant circuit, and I think we're going to see our run-of-the-mill intermediate runs to begin with. If I'm not mistaken, Danny Moreno's our first out on circuit. He's on the green wall, intermediate tyres, George.
Yeah, there he is, making his way now up through the initial sector, and that being turns 2, 3 and 4, and now through the straight now towards turn 5, and making their way around Torre Vip. That's the Torre Vip bend. In fact, if this was the spot where Tom Martinez got spun yesterday in F2, and just wasn't to be for that man. We'll have to wait and see as they make their way down through the next right-hander in the Black Arrow. Of course, as we see constantly week in, week out, certainly at this level, a lot of the drivers donning the intermediate tyres. Great opportunity. Certainly, if you don't need them in later sessions, you can burn off a pair for your installation lap and save yourself a set of slick tyres. Very good strategic sense from a lot of these guys in order to save that compound, and at least they can get used to the track, get a feeler as to what the track's like, and get used certainly to what goes on, because there can be a lot of surprises, certainly at a circuit like Portimao, where a lot of these drivers wouldn't have put in a lot of time on this track. They'll know other tracks better than this one, but nevertheless, great to get those installation laps in, gives you a feel and gets yourself prepared, as we're now watching Danny Moreno make his way down through towards the final bend at turn 15 very shortly, and you can just see him there in the ever eye-catching Mercedes that has done so much in Formula 1 down the stretch now. I've got to say, some of the broadcast cameras are extraordinary here at Portimao, and it's great to see them out and about, and I'm looking forward to bringing the race with them as well, Danfield.
Yeah, absolutely. This is probably one of the best jobs Codemasters have done with the camera angles. It's brilliant. I do love the spectating on this circuit. It's Danny Moreno. You can see he's just crawling up the hill, really. Of course, the intermediate's not going to have any grip at this point in qualifying, especially on a bone-dry circuit. It looks like it's scorching as well. So I'd imagine that the intermediate's not in their best condition. We will see quicker laps than this one later on in the session, but now into the second sector, Danny Moreno. This is a very tricky part of the circuit, the double right here, and then this next corner here, you really want to be careful on the power, and you can see how much he's having to tiptoe through just the mid-apex of the corner, and even on the power out of the corner. It's so easy to slide the car there, especially on the intermediate tyres. So Danny Moreno struggling at this point, which is understandable given the tyres he's on. It is pretty much the same for everyone else. You can see yellow flags, that's in sector 3. So other drivers are beginning to struggle as well with how these tyres are coping on the dry track as he crawls through sector 3 now. And it should be home sailing from here. You'd normally be finishing a lap around this point on a set of the dries with his time that he's on right now. But he's going to come through the final turn. And slide in the rear. Danny Moreno in style across the line. The banker time for today is going to be a 1:27.362. Expect quicker time than that, George.
Yeah, we certainly will. Naturally, these initial tyres are exactly what these guys use to, like I said, set an installation lap. So do not expect any firecrackers right from the get-go. Joe Hannon also making his way around the track, sliding as he goes too. And plenty of them now round in the final sector. He's in sector 3 now, Joe Hannon. and making his way around the final corner. This one is so dangerous if you get it wrong, because if you clip the inside line, you can easily spin. We've seen it before. The race curbs are ever so treacherous. So they're the circuits. Anton Derzalewski up into P3 now, up into P2 now, P3, because Joe Hannon crosses the line up into P2. Lewis Welch as well, another man we want to talk about, actually won the F2 race yesterday, so he's in great form. And as I say that, I have to say, a very Eustachius line coming around the final corner. Wow, we really struggling with the control, certainly on the intermediate tyres. I can imagine that must be hell on a pad there, Danfield.
Oh god, yeah, I really do admire Louis Welch for being on the pad and having the pace, the level of pace that he does. It's incredible how quick someone could be with a controller. It almost doesn't feel natural, really, to be driving a car of this speed on just your thumbs. You know, you kind of need the feel to be quick. Louis Welch somehow manages it. He's found himself winning at almost the very top level. He even got a podium in this top split earlier on in the season at Zandvoort, so maybe we could see a repeat from him there. Maybe, I'm not too sure. I am secretly hoping for it. I do love Louis. He's come a long way in league racing from the pad days on PS4, and he took his first win in PSGL since season 26, if I'm not mistaken, last night, as Samuel Bean, I think, is the only man on circuit right now.
Yeah, he certainly is. Well, Sam Corby's just set a time as well, a 128.548. Simon Perigny up into P3, a 127.983 as well. But you're absolutely right, Samuel Bean, the only one out on a lap. But Lucas Blakely comes out to join him as well, and he's the only man on that slicker tyre as well. He's on the medium tyres, and now making his way up through the next left-hander on his outlap. And Lucas Blakely looking to try and turn things around. Obviously not the best of seasons, nevertheless though has scored podiums. A P3 at the Belgian Grand Prix at Spa-Francorchamps, following up with a second place in our last race at China. So he's had some good results, but it probably has not gone the way that Lucas Blakely would have wanted, because if you remember, he was dominant in pre-season.
Yeah, he's not quite recaptured the form that he had in the pre-season, where he was one of the top guys. I was half expecting him to be challenging Jarno for the championship, but of course bad luck has come his way also this season, and you know, he hasn't really had the results on paper. So if he can pull a couple positions back tonight, maybe he can jump the likes of Jake Benham or Danny Moreno. I'm not too sure what the gaps are to them. Maybe if he can do that, then I'd say he'd be very pleased with how his season's gone. But he's just about to begin his lap. Samuel Bean pulling off out of his way, and through the final turn, Lucas Blakely is going to put us on our first proper slick run, George.
He certainly is, making his way now down the straight in the Aston Martin. Let's roll on board with Lucas Blakely as he makes his way down towards turn 1 at Primera. Makes his way around now, clips the curb on the entrance, round turn 2 into turn 3 at Lagos now, as they do make their way around this next right-hander. He's now going to make the almighty climb, the elevation charge up in turn 4, down the stretch now, and very shortly we'll reach Tora Vip at turn 5, which is this next left-handed hairpin bend. And you want to try and get in tight on the exit now, taking a lot of the curb on the escape, making his way around the next left at turn 6. Turn 7 comes up next, and then reaching turn 8. This is the Samsung corner, and he's now going to power up the hill. This blind corner as well, very, very treacherous, as you now ride up through Craig Jones at turn 9, into Portimao corner at turn 10. Which is very much a subtle corner, heading into turn 11 now, and losing the steering just slightly there as he now makes his way around turn 12. Turn 13 is now up next, another semi-hairpin bend up towards Sagre now at turn 14. And again, another progressive bend. Just look at it. It's so dynamic, this track. So much to offer as he now winds his way down through turn 15 at Gulp. And it is a gulp because you have to take a big gulp to go down through the next right-hander, making his way tight to the stand side as he makes his way across. 116.514, the first registered time on slick tyres, mediums for Lucas Blakely, and he nets himself a P1 spot.
Yeah, that was, he looked a bit scruffy on that lap. I would have to admit, you know, he was fighting the car at certain moments, but he did manage to keep the car on circuit and keep it valid, and that is still a pretty damn competitive time. I think Lucas Blakely might be pushing again here, because he's improving by about half a tenth on his previous best lap. So, I mean, I guess we'll see him at the second split if he is still pushing. It certainly looks like it, and he's not recharging the battery all too much. So I think Lucas Blakely going for 2 runs in a row on this same set of the medium tyres. He comes onto this downhill section through Craig Jones. Jarno getting out of his way. He's on his outlap. on a set of, I believe, the soft compound of tyres. I think Lucas Blakely, he's only slightly up on his previous best, but he is still improving.
Yeah, he certainly is. Norberto is also out on a flying lap 2, and he's on soft tyres, so you'd expect him to be towards the top end without a shadow of a doubt. The question is, will he topple Lucas Blakely? You'd certainly bank your money on it. The AlphaTauri now coming around sector 3 very shortly now down the stretch after turn 15, flying now in the AlphaTauri, of course, sister car to the Red Bull team, making their way down the stretch. Honda engines donned by AlphaTauri as they now cross the line, and he goes up into P2 with a 1:16.628. You'd expect a little bit better given the fact that they're on the faster compound. But nevertheless, certainly in P2 for now, that's where he will stay. Ulas Agildarim also out on track 2. He's on soft tyres, driving for Alpine. Jarno Opmeer as well, though. The PSGL current champion. He's out in Sector 1 here, Danfield.
Yeah, and he's just coming into Torre Vip turn number 5, the hairpin corner, and then getting back onto the power, fighting the car a little bit on the exit and up through turn 6 and 7 into the double right-hander. Now what can he do through Samsung corner as he rises up the crest and over the peak and then into this swift downhill roller coaster-like section through Craig Jones back uphill in towards turn number 10, Portimao corner here. Jarno Opmeer kissing the apex beautifully and now riding it out in towards the third sector here. It's a 51.6 if I'm not mistaken through sector 1 and 2 combined. Little bit of a slide coming out of turn number 13 but through Sagres now, and after this point it's going to be completely flat out towards the line in towards Galp corner turn number 15 off the exit here. What can Jarno Opmeer do? Is he going to go ahead of Lucas Blakely? You'd certainly expect it to cross the line. What's it going to be? It's a 16.171 from Jarno Opmeer, a whole 4 tenths quicker than his nearest rival Lucas Blakely.
Yeah, and as you can see, all the drivers now out on soft tyres. Ulas Agildarim making his way up into P2 as well, getting himself across the line as well. We got Williams there crossing the line too. That I believe is Sam Corby. Danny Moreno is up into P6 right now. He's making his way around, and he's currently going quicker in sector 2 as well. In fact, he's gone a massive 7 seconds quicker of all things. He makes his way around the next left-hander. Going around the next right now is the machine Danny Moreno, looking to join his teammate up at the top end. Danny Moreno now round the final corner very shortly, coming down the roller coaster section, heading down through towards Gulp, and very shortly soon to cross the line. Lucas Blakely on an outlap now as well, as Danny Moreno topples his teammate only by half a tenth of a second, a 1:16.127, a statement of intent by the two Mercedes cars.
Yeah, they're getting very close to each other on circuit, these two boys, and it is lovely to see that they are still very tight-knit on pace. Hopefully that can continue into the esports series as Louis Welch, wow, what a time from him, 16.0. He goes to the top of the pecking order by about just over a tenth of Danny Moreno. So winning last night in F2, that might have done him a whole world of good, because Louis Welch in the Alfa Romeo car, sorry, not Alfa Romeo, Aston Martin, too many A's on the grid. The number 13 Aston Martin, brilliant time from him, and I think he'd be pretty damn pleased with that one there.
I think he'd be delighted with that, certainly. Lewis Welch on the pad. He loves it here around Portimao. Won yesterday in F2. But how about this man, Dylan Warren, up into P3, splits the Mercedes in the Williams. I have to say, very George Russell feels about that. But the question is, can he do it when it counts? Which is Q3, of course. But we'll have to wait and see. But great showing from Dylan Warren, of course. And put up a very good fight yesterday at F2 as well. So he comes here in reasonable form as well. So Samuel Bean in behind 2 in P5. Joe Hannon immediately up into P6 as well as he crosses the line with a 1:16.245. So very impressive from him. Simon Perigny out on track 2. He's making his way on his cool-down lap. Luke Smith is out and about. He crosses the line up into P10. Lucas Blakely now in the bottom 10, but he's also making his way around again, but going a bit slower in the Aston Martin. Further down as well, Wilson Hughes is out and about on track for McLaren as he now crosses the line. He moves up into P5, just in behind Jarno Opmeer. So the times are coming in thick and fast. Certainly the early 16s in Q1 certainly seems to be where they're at the moment. But Dan, plenty of time to go, I think, towards the end. A lot of these drivers just get settling in to Portimao tonight.
Absolutely, we still have some times that aren't really representative of true driver's pace. You know, Tom Martinez, Jake Benham and Room Vallejo all in the bottom 5 and a good few seconds off the top of the pecking order at the moment, as a couple more drivers are on runs. Sam Corby being one of them. and he's about 10th up on his previous best time. He's just come through Torre Vips now. Of course, you tip this as a man to watch, and I'd quite frankly agree with you here. In the Williams car, making his PSGL F1 debut, if I'm not mistaken, fighting the car through here, and I think he might have backed out on that one just through his, he might have been put off by the McLaren just in front of him. He backs off on that lap, still remaining in 17th position.
Yep, certainly is. Sam Corby making his way around and backing off, as you quite rightly said. There you can see, I believe that's Lucas Blakely now making his way around the final sector. Now he's going quicker, so this is a good opportunity now for Lucas to really send himself up the leaderboard as he makes his way around the next right-hander now, coming out of the Gulp curve after Sagre. And that'll be at a turn 15, rounds the final corner now very shortly, taking a big gulp down the inside now of turn 15, and now making his way down through towards the paddock side as he now lights things up now with a P1 time. The only man to hit the 15s, a 1:15.903. A great statement of intent by Lucas Blakely, topping the timing sheets for the first time in a little while.
Yeah, locking out the front row if it was a Q3 format at the moment for Aston Martin. I think Otmar and Lawrence Stroll, they'd be going crazy on the pit wall if this was in real F1, but drivers still do have opportunities to beat their rivals. As I'm just looking at Danny Moreno, he's just stagnant on track at the moment. He's not moving. Hopefully that's not a glitch of what we saw last week, which you could say robbed him of the win almost, and somehow he's just started moving in neutral, so I'm not too sure what's going on with him there, but a couple more drivers on outlaps. I'm trying to find the furthest one up. I think Tom Martinez is going to be the first one to put us out on another lap, or is it Jake Benham, George?
Jake Benham the first to go. Tom Martinez round in the final corner now, and he will be setting his time as he now sets himself across the line. We will follow Jake Benham though. He's already making his way around the next right-hander at turn 3. Now he's going to make the climb through turn 4 and then the next straight as well in the Haas. And Jake Benham, the all-star as we call him, signed to Veloce, and has a bright future ahead of him as well, joining the likes of Wilson Hughes and Tomek Parajic at the gates of Veloce, as well as many others. Veloce really do place their faith in these guys. They scout them for years on end in league racing, and when they feel that it's the right time to bring them in, it certainly is the great opportunity for them to really strut their stuff. And certainly in a field like this where you've got some top esports talent, the likes of Jarno Otmir and of course Danny Moreno and obviously Lucas Blakely as well, it gives you an opportunity to see how you fare against the best in the business. As now Jake Benham comes around the next left-hander at turn 13. He's got turn 14 coming up next, that being the Sagre bend, and very shortly down through turn 15 at Gulp. He's really got to try and land something heavy here now. Jake Benham now round through the Gulp corner, this very downhill section now, letting fly here with the Haas now as he crosses the line very shortly with the DRS now opened up. He moves himself up into P3 with a 1:16.020, right on the bubble of a 1:15.
Yeah, he's just 2 thousandths behind Louis Welch as well in P2, so it's really tight-knit at the top end. It's also quite tight-knit in the midfield from about 7th to 12th. They're all within, as I think Danny Moreno might have just completed a lap there. Someone's moved up a couple positions. I think it might have actually been Ruben Pedreño moving into 5th position, so Haas looking in strong stead today. But I'm watching Ruben Vallejo currently on a 42.7, so this is obviously not a strong time so far, but I think he's about to make amends as coming out of the final corner, turn 15. What's it going to be for Ruben Vallejo? It's P4 for the Spaniards. And he just goes ahead of his fellow countryman Danny Moreno, who is about 2 tenths up on his lap, so expect good things from him too.
Yeah, the machine Danny Moreno now in Sector 3 and really trying to improve, and he has improved quite a bit. In fact, the machine knows when to strike, and he will strike now. Well, the minutes tick down here in Q1 as they round the next right-hander. The Black Arrow looking to do exactly what he's done previously in this PSGL Championship. He'll open up the DRS now and come across the line and hit P1 with a 1:15.863. Brilliant indeed, and trumps Jarno by 400ths of a second. Not bad at all, Danfield.
Oh, absolutely. As the clock has struck 0, so if they're not on a lap, they're not going to be able to put one in, as Simon Perigny just goes into 6th position there. As Luke Smith, he's going to be out of qualifying. Zabaconye is also going to be out as he pulls into the pit lane here. Norberto, unfortunately, not really improving so far on his lap, but he still has 2 more sectors to go. What about Sam Corby in the final sector? He's finding about a 10th on this lap so far. If he can find it in the final sector, he can see himself out of Q1. And unfortunately, it's not for Sam Corby. He's going to be remaining in the bottom 5. What about Tom Martinez to the line? Where's he going to go? Unfortunately, it is plumb last for Tom Martinez. So it looks like qualifying rolling to an end. I think the only driver who can make a move is going to be Norberto.
Yeah, Norberto making his way around the final corner and soon to be crossing the line in the AlphaTauri, coming down through the gulp curve now. This in-swinger that very much looks like a roller coaster ride down through towards the home straight. Incoming now, Norberto. He does not make it out. He stays rooted in P18. Luke Smith as well rooted in P17 with Benjabo Konyi retiring in 16th spot. They are your retirees, folks. The other ones now knocked out of Q1. Benjabo Konyi, Luke Smith, Norberto, Sam Corby and Tom Martinez out of qualifying as we finish here in Q1 Danfield. A bit of a shocker. Didn't expect Tom Martinez to be at the back.
Yeah, right plumb down in last position. He must have made a mistake on that lap. I just don't really see Tom Martinez, who was pretty close to the likes of Sam Corby yesterday in F2, being 5/10 off the pace. I'd imagine coming into the race, he's going to have a lot more pace in that Alfa Romeo car, and he's going to have more tyres as well, of course. So the advantages still can come his way. It is not all over. And of course, we've seen some brilliant drives in PSGL from drivers starting right down at the back of the grid, or even in real F1 as well. So who knows? You just cannot count out any of the drivers who are eliminated in Q1, but they won't see the qualifying for the rest of the session. They'll be out watching on the sidelines, unfortunately.
Yeah, well, there's Danny Moreno. He sits on P1 here in Q1. A great lap indeed, makes him fastest, so 1:15.863. But we'll have a look at those that have been ejected from qualifying. Benjabo Konyi out for Ferrari, Luke Smith out for Alpine, Norberto out for AlphaTauri with Sam Corby in P19, and Tom Martinez rooted last for Alfa Romeo. Certainly did not go to plan for him, but nevertheless, folks, what an interesting Q1. Obviously, get this broken into the track that is Portimao. Certainly here at the usual home or host, should we say, for the Algarve GP. But great to be here in Portimao. Of course, 16, or should I say 15 corners that make up this absolutely tremendous track that has offered us so much action. And I can only imagine what it's going to be like here today with some of the very best in the business, and certainly the best in league racing firing up at the top end. But certainly some shockers there. I have to say, Sam Corby expected a lot more from that man, and Tom Martinez as well. Didn't expect them to be at the very back.
Yeah, well, I guess that is just how ruthless the very top split of league racing is. You know, if you make just one minor mistake, that could be the difference between you seeing Q2 or being eliminated early on. So these drivers have got to be absolutely perfect on their runs, and so far the strongest have survived. 15 drivers remain in qualifying. They're just about to get underway for another session. I think the first driver out on track is going to be Danny Moreno, this time on a set of the soft tyres. So the intermediates, they've been put back in their blankets. Now we can see right out the gates in Q2, we're going to be seeing some slick running. Yeah,
there we have it. We have actually got some news, folks, that Tom 97's pedals have actually broken. They have actually broken. So apparently they were on a wrong setting. And therefore, thank you to those in the chat for letting us know, but he is not able, or wasn't able to set a proper lap time due to an issue with his pedals. So that's a big shame for Tom 97. Just goes to show that even equipment, very much like in real life, can affect your sim racing performance as well. But there's Danny Moreno now out on track as well, and he'll surely be looking to follow through from a very good Q1 visit.
Absolutely, you can see him to be the first on his lap. He's got some clear air in front of him, and as I say that, he's got a mighty Joe Hannon just lurking in the shadows behind him. I'd imagine he'd back off coming into the beginning of their lap, so I don't think Danny Moreno's got anything to worry about. But those two, they're going to be the first drivers to put us out on laps. Danny Moreno's just come into the third sector now, so we'll see what he can do. He's just about to put the pedal flat to the floor right here. There he goes. He's just invalidated. Hopefully that doesn't carry on to his lap, because if it does, then I will be furious. As coming across the line, is he going to begin it here? Unfortunately not. He is invalid, George.
Yeah, an invalidation. Certainly not the best way to start, but Joe Hannon comes across the line as well, and he commences his flying lap 2 as we're now watching them hightail through the first sections of this circuit now. Danny Moreno heading around turns 1, 2 and 3, now up through towards turn 4, and down the next stretch now towards Torre Vip. at turn 5. And obviously this is going to be a key overtaking part of the circuit. Turn 5 being one of them. Obviously we've got the home straight as well, where the DRS will open up. But I certainly highlight turns 4 and turn 5 as being one of the important segments of the track as well, because obviously you have DRS heading down into the hairpin, and then on the escape then you've got to try and get a nice getaway. So there's 2 areas where you can make a crucial move. Either you can get it done before the hairpin bend, or you can do it after the hairpin on the climb up towards turn 6. There's lots of opportunities here as Danny Moreno goes for a little squirrely move on the track. Very much left himself in a little, well, very, very nearly could have landed himself into obscurity. Very close from the machine, Danny Moreno.
Yeah, luckily he's managed to keep it on circuit. I wonder if he's going to stay out and go for a potential other lap, because he's not valid on this one. But if he keeps his speed up here, we'll be on to watch in qualifying, as I think, yeah, he's going to go for a second lap around here. That lap that he's just done is a 16.3, but of course that was not valid, and it was certainly far off of what his previous best time was. But the machine, as Jake Benham goes quickest, immediately snatched away by Lucas Blakely with a 15.924. They're just getting quicker and quicker.
Yeah, absolutely. Lucas Blakely already finding the 15s from the get-go, as you quite rightly said, Danfield. Obviously, that was one of the quicker times in our last session. So already breaking out the big guns. Lucas Blakely, a bomber of a fastest lap there indeed, sends him up into P1. So a great way to start this session for the Aston Martin. And I'd say that pretty much as good as at least cements his position, I'd say, in this one. I tell you what, there's going to be a lot of pressure on the guys behind to try and match that. Danny Moreno, of course, still out on track. Jarno Watmir still in the pits, his teammate, waiting until later on, maybe just to see where they're setting laps or how they're setting them. Maybe waiting for the track to warm up a little bit, giving him a chance to get a little bit of extra delta when he comes out. So we'll have to keep an eye on the Flying Dutchman when he does venture out onto the track. Wilson Hughes is now out on an out lap. Danny Moreno, though, making his way around the next right-hander. Whether he chooses to box, I'm not quite sure. This does look like it's going to be a bit tight as he now rounds the final corner out of Gulp. Down the stretch, he does decide to box indeed. No surprises there. Joe Hannon also making his way out onto the track. He goes into the pits too. Wilson Hughes, now the sole man out and about on track, currently on an out lap, and will be setting a time as soon as he completes coming across the line.
Yep, Wilson Hughes has got a bright future in F1 esports. It is clear to see. Of course, recently signing to the McLaren Shadow Academy, and I believe he was just recently, maybe last week or so, he was at the MTC, and they were doing some 5 laps. I managed to get in, and then I had to swiftly leave. It was unfortunate, but it looked like all the team together, they were having a great time of it. So it's brilliant to see how close F1 esports teams can be, and Wilson Hughes is certainly a part of that family. So he's coming through turn number 15 to begin his flying lap in Q2, and we'll see the Scotsman take us on board for a lap on the downhill run towards turn number 1 here. Slight braking, short shifting into 6th gear, and now rising up the gears once again to swiftly brake it back down through Lagos corner. Uphill now through turn number 4. He could really lose the car, and he's managed to keep that very nice indeed, and it's going to be a 21.7 through the first sector. Very easy to lock up through here. It's a downhill corner. He's going to try and take it as nice as he can on exit again, once riding through the gears and through turn 6, 7 here, and up towards Samsung corner, turn 8, where he misses the apex. That's really the ideal line that you want to take, not hit the apex so as to not spin off the exit. As coming through Craig Jones now, looking really tidy on this lap is Wilson Hughes through turn 11. Not really, well, it is a very nice corner. I would say a little bit challenging. You have to run it pretty wide coming through there. As there he is through at turn number 13. Wilson Hughes, he might pick up a little bit of a slipstream from the Williams car in front of him. That might be Dylan Warren just ahead. It's actually the Alpine of Ulyss Zildrim. As coming through turn number 15, Wilson Hughes looked really nice and tidy on this lap. What's he going to do? 6 drivers so far have put in a lap. What's the Scotsman going to put? It's going to be a 1-2 for Scotland, actually. And he's just gone 200 slower than Lucas Blakely. Brilliant stuff from Wilson Hughes.
Superb showing, Dan. Incredible showing. And I got to say, just what we expect from a man who has really shown himself to be a true class performer, certainly at league racing level. certainly from his efforts in PlayStation, where of course he is a multi-time champion, and he's really transitioned well to the PC as well. He was really fighting hard at Austria, where we had the Austrian Grand Prix. Of course, if you look at further down the line as well, when you look at his performances in like China, he was extraordinary, battling with the likes of Thyman Shooter, of course, who's the current Alfa Romeo esports driver as well. Dylan Warren, who's going to set this initial lap. I don't think it's going to be his best one because he was slowing down in Sector 2, but he's powering on medium tyres. Extraordinary getting the medium tyres, so a good display of strategy acumen from that man. We're just going to have a look at the current state of affairs, folks. Antoine Desilewski setting his initial time on mediums, as well as Jake Benham as well. Lewis Welch doing exactly the same, so a clear intent for them to start on medium tyres. So it gives the drivers a choice, really, doesn't it, as to what strategy they want to go for. Already Dylan Warren going faster in Sector 2.
Absolutely, he's just coming through Sector 3. Oh, he's actually just gone through Sector 2 now. I do apologise for that one. Through turn number 8. Samsung corner, Dylan Warren fighting the car on the exit. Oh, a little bit of a slide, but he's managed to hold the car. And on 25.8 at the moment, obviously not a representative time of Dylan's real pace. So we can see what he can do through the second split. He's already 6 seconds up. So certainly going to be an improvement on his previous best time out of turn number 13 and in towards turn 14 here. And just begins to accelerate now, short shifting up the gears to get as much traction on exit as possible. And then through turn number 15, Gulp corner. The downhill and in towards the uphill section. It's like a roller coaster, as you put it, and it's going to be a 16.830 on a set of the medium tyres. That's good enough for 6th position for Dylan Warren.
So here's Danny Moreno out and about as well. Still no one can topple Lucas Blakely here in Q2. Wilson Hughes, though, gave it a good try. Currently 200s down after he set his lap, if you remember. Further down, though, you can see now Otmir still waiting in the pits. Has got the medium tyres strapped to the car. Ruben Pedreño out on track too, but Jarno's teammate Danny Moreno making his way around. Poitou Stachulek currently rooted in P11. Lewis Welch in P10 now. Jake Benham currently in P9. Dylan Warren now down in P8. Pedreño getting himself up into P6 as well for Haas, so great moves from him. But Danny Moreno now coming up towards the line. What's the machine going to set here? He goes up into P4, only 2/10 away from the 115s, but you would firmly expect him to go quicker. That being said, though, medium tyre run, that's pretty solid, I have to say.
Yeah, he's the quickest of all the medium runners at the moment. Of course, Lucas Blakely, Wilson Hughes and Simon Peridney have all done their times on the softs, but Danny Moreno, really impressive. Just about 200ths quicker than Joe Hannon in behind him. He's on a cool-down lap at the moment. I'm trying to find someone who could be on a potential push lap at the moment. I don't believe there is anyone going for a fast lap at this point in time. Probably leave Samuel Bean to be the next one to put us off on a lap. He's just on an out lap at the moment, and he's going to come through turn number 15 here to begin another lap of Portimao. He managed to do it first time round in Q1, and he's got to replicate that in Q2 on this set of the medium compound of tyres coming into the downhill section, turn number 1 here. There's a big slide coming out on the exit there, but he's looking nice and tidy through here. Turn number 3 in towards turn 4. Lot of oversteer in that AlphaTauri car, and again fighting the car on the exit. Looked a bit scrappy on this lap so far to 21.853 through the first sector and in towards Tory Vips. It's looking like he's struggling a bit, George.
Yeah, I think he is a little bit. Just sort of toying with the curbs a little bit, and you want to try and stay away from them as much as you can. Certainly the raised ones, because of course they can land you into trouble. But the more he toys with them, the closer he's going to get to an invalidation. But I think that's the least of his worries. It's more traction, I think, causing a problem for Samuel Bean coming through the next left and heading around the next right-hander on the mediums now. Obviously very, very good for your strategy if you can land a good time on mediums. But we'll have to wait and see now as they round through the next left. And I believe he has I think he has actually invalidated. We'll have to wait and see, folks, as he makes his way around the next right-hander in Sector 3, crawling down through Gulp, and I think he has done exactly that. We'll keep an eye on him, though, and it's pretty solid to say that he has invalidated. So Samuel Bean will no doubt be coming into the pits, certainly does indeed, and that leaves a sole man out on track in the Red Bull, Ruben Vallejo. Incredible stuff indeed, and we'll have to see what he can do, but he's going to have plenty of clean air certainly ahead of him.
Yeah, one of only 3 drivers yet to put in a lap at the moment. Ruben Vallejo on a set of the soft compound of tyres. So you would expect him to be one of the quicker guys in this session. He's revving out the car quite a lot. I don't know if that's an audio glitch. on my part there, but he's just coming through at the second sector now. We'll see what he can do once he gets out on his lap. Looking like there's a bit more activity on circuit. Jake Benham and Ulysses Zildjian both left the pit lane as well, and I think Danny Moreno actually retiring in the pit lane. He thinks he's done enough to go into Q3 on a 16.2. So I wonder how that is going to work out for him, as a lot of drivers now are beginning their outlap. You can see in the first sector, it is like a car park. There's a Mercedes, McLaren, Red Bull, I think an Alfa Romeo, and an Aston Martin down in that part of the track. But Ruben Vallejo coming to a snail's pace here in Sector 3 on his outlap. Might have a bit of traffic on his run, but we'll see how he copes on his first Q2 flying lap.
Yeah, heading around now, the next right-hander. Slipping down through Gulp now and making his way down across the line. And Ruben Vallejo will be commencing his fast lap here. His very first one, in fact. There's 3 drivers who have yet to set times. Jarno Watmir and Samuel Bean, both of them yet to do one. And Samuel Bean himself actually struggled on his previous one, as we all saw. Wilson Hughes has retired from the session. He's happy with his lap. I would say you're pretty safe in a 1:15, which is not bad at all. But incoming now, Ruben Vallejo coming around the next left. And very shortly make his way around the next right. I've got a feeling, actually, he is slowing up here. Energy saving already. Is that an instant invalidation by any chance there, Dan?
He is invalid on this lap, and he's not pushing. You can see he's letting other cars through. He's just let Louis Welch through on his out lap, which means the furthest driver out on a run at the moment is Ulysses Zildjian. Currently, his time is on a set of the medium tyres, so we'll see what he can do on a set of the softs. I actually tell a lie. He has done his lap on 2-lap-old soft tyres, and that will be a huge disadvantage coming into the race. You can see he's really having to battle with the car, especially through turn number 8 there. But in through Craig Jones and up towards Portimao corner here, turn number 10. We'll see what he can do. He's just about to come to the second sector split here, and he is slightly down on his previous best. And from what I gather, we are coming towards the end of our qualifying session. A slight timing glitch at the moment, but I'd imagine these are going to be some drivers' final runs in qualifying. So Ulysses Zildjian's got to make this final sector count. But fighting the car once again. He somehow saves it there. But that's going to be his time completely shot.
Yeah, it certainly is. We're now watching Jarno Watmir as well. Now, big pressure here in the dying moments. And Jarno Watmir going big here. Going for medium tyres late in this qualifying session, folks. As he now makes his way around the next left-hander. Do apologise. For some reason, we have not got the timer. We've only got the lap delta, which I've never ever seen before in qualifying. But we're now seeing Jarno Watmir now on medium tyres. Coming around the next right-hander. Down through towards Gulp Corner at turn 15. Can the Flying Dutchman light things up here late in quali? Heads up towards the line now, and certainly as he does so, P8 he gets on those medium tyres. Now, interesting, he's not safe to say the least. Plenty of cars in behind. Has he landed himself in a little bit of hot water here, Danfield?
Yeah, well, he's not in the best of places at the moment, especially as Lucas Blakely does a 15.5 clear, 4/10 clear of anyone behind him. We've just hit 0 on the clock there. So if you're not on a lap, you are not going to be able to start a new one. So it's going to be really ride or die for all 15 drivers on circuit at the moment. As Simon Perigny, he improves on his lap. He's on a 16.0, but we do have a couple drivers on the cusp of danger. One of them being our PSGL champion elect as of last week. He could be out in Q2 here, George.
He could well be. He's not safe here, Danfield. Not at all, but I have to say, bold move to go on the medium so late. Lewis Welch has already toppled him for a place. Louis Welch getting into P8. He is also not yet safe. Ruben Vallejo comes across the line. P4 for the Spaniard in 116.044 for the Red Bull. Samuel Bean, he's going to have to go again, I would have thought. In fact, I don't think he can. I think he's actually in deep trouble. He's going to be out of the session the way things are going. Ruben Pedreño, he's down too. He's coming through Sector 3. He's not going to improve. Pato Stachilek, he makes his way around Sector 3. Can he get something going here in the later stages of this session as he makes his way around? I think this is going to be another slow lap from him. No improvement from Stachilek. Lewis Welch is in the drop zone. Jarno Watmir is in P9. He's got away with it. He set a lap. He's found his way into the top 10, at least for now, but plenty out there. Jake Benham's retired in P10. He's confident, and I think Jarno, on the medium tyres, he saved himself. He's in the top 10, Danfield. Exceptional stuff.
He has just about done it there. But I've also got a feel for Louis Welch. He has done the exact same time as Jake Benham. A 1 minute 16.377. Both of them on that lap. And he is out of qualifying. I do not believe it. 11th position. for Louis Welch, and Jake Benham has just pipped him. So much so that F1's to the nearest 1,000, it is the exact same. Unbelievable stuff. Louis Welch, got a feel for him though.
Oh, you certainly do, but this is going to present us with a very, very interesting strategy heading into the race, of course. If you set the times you have on the tyres in Q2, certainly in the top 10, you have to have them for the race. We've got a split strategy sense in the top 10. 4 cars on mediums, the rest on softs. We've lost Louis Welch, Ruben Pedreño, Stachilek, Antoine Desalewski, and Samuel Bean. They are out of qualifying, folks, but incredible indeed. Incredible scenes. Jarno Watmir at the very death, pulling it off. Danny Moreno also on the medium tyres. Both Mercedes sharing the same strategy. So that puts them in a very, very good advantage. But let's not forget as well, Lucas Blakely, he could be a force to be reckoned with on the soft tyres. Plenty of others as well on medium tyre strategies. I tell you what, we have got a little bit of a humdinger ahead of us. This race is going to be interesting here.
Yeah, it's all completely up in the air. Who would have thought? Coming to a new circuit like Portimao, drivers might be tiptoeing a lot more, but they're actually really pushing the cars to the very limits of what it can handle. You can see all of the drivers fighting it as much as they can, trying to find the very limit of grip that they can achieve. So it is so tight throughout the order. It's brilliant.
Yeah, you know, it's absolutely superb. Great to see. And obviously opens up the door for so many possibilities, folks, for us heading into the race. We cannot wait to see what happens. Obviously, we're going to wait and see. Obviously, if you have the mediums to start a race, it puts you in a very, very good opportune situation because you can do the undercut. And naturally, or certainly the overcut, should we say. You'll have the medium tyres going deeper into the race, put a lot of pressure on. If you can make it work, I tell you what, it's a very dangerous strategy, certainly for those who start on the soft tyres. We'll have to wait and see, though. We're heading into Q3 now very, very shortly, and this is where the battle for pole position comes into play, folks. So I want to see you lighting up the live chat. Who do you think is getting pole position for the start of the PSGL? Certainly here at Portimao, the Algarve Grand Prix. Light them up in the live chat. Who's getting pole? Dan, what are your thoughts?
Oh, you know what? Just to throw something different into the pot, I'm saying Wilson Hughes. Pole position tonight.
Wilson Hughes, that's a huge call. You really think so?
Hey, it might not happen, it might do so. You just never know with young talent like this, where they really can deliver in a high pressure situation. I think Wilson Hughes, he has certainly got the guts to do it. And speaking of Wilson Hughes, he might be one of the first out on circuit here, but I think it's Lucas Blakely, his fellow countryman. He's going to be the first out on track on a set of these soft tyres. And even though I'm putting Wilson Hughes in the limelight there, I think with a 15.5 in Q2, Lucas Blakely is hard to miss up here.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. I think I have to say, I'm looking forward to seeing what he does. It's going to be very interesting. I'm seeing a lot of names in the live chat, folks. Thank you all for your epic support. Lucas Blakely being tipped, Simon Perigny being tipped. We've also got tips for Jarno Watmir, Danny Moreno, a McLaren for pole as well. Lewis Welch is also being backed. Ulas Yildirim. Plenty of names in the live chat, and that is great to see. Certainly in context of this having a very, very sparse grid, very different grid into Q3. So very, very exciting. The timer is back as well, so great to see it back. They'll only get approximately 10 minutes of actual quali time if you consider the out laps and then starting fast laps, and Lucas Blakely is going to be the first man to do just that as he now rounds the next right-hander, and he's going to be sending it now down the stretch to commence his fast lap. So Lucas Blakely looking to kick them off here with the first lap here in Q3.
Yeah, coming in towards turn number 1 here. What can Lucas Blakely do on his timed lap here? His first run as all the lap traffic getting out of the way of him here. He's had a brilliant Q2, but can he replicate it in Q3? Is rising up the hill and in towards the short straightaway in towards Torre Vit. It's going to be a 21.7 flat through the first sector for Lucas Blakely. What can he do through the second sector? Arguably the most tricky part of this circuit coming through now. The double right-hander of turns number 7 and 8. Indeed, Samsung corner here in towards Craig Jones. Lucas Blakely flying through the roller coaster section in towards turn number 10 and 11 here. Portimao corner in towards the downhill section. So much undulation on this circuit. I absolutely love it through here as turn number 13 for Lucas Blakely looked pretty rough at some points, but overall kept it very smooth so far. As now coming out of the final braking zone towards turn number 15, Lucas Blakely for his first timed run of Q3 here. What can he do? Coming up towards the line. going to be a 15.8 banker. Brilliant stuff there from Lucas Blakely to kick us off in Q3.
Certainly is a great showing indeed by Lucas Blakely, a 1:15.843. Once again, starting extremely well at qualifying. He certainly seems to like qualifying sessions. That's where he unleashes the beast. And Bomber Blakely already sets himself on pole position, at least for now. We're well within still the first runs at this moment in time. Wilson Hughes heading down into the Gulp curve very, very shortly. You can just see him rounding his way now down the stretch. What can Wilson Hughes do as Simon Perigley goes into P2? He trips him immediately, a 1:15.938. That is also impeccably strong, but as the track is so warm now, these cars are starting to really quicken up. Plenty of drivers still to cross the line. Jake Benham into Sector 1. Ulasses Yildirim, he's in Sector 2. Jarno Opmeer is also out on the hot lap. Let's join the Dutchman for a run around Sector 2 now as he rounds the next right and clipping the corners there as he makes his way through. Now rounding Sector 2 up to Portimao, now down through the elevation section and soon to be crossing into the next right-hander. As he does so, just scoops his way around Portimao, round turn 11 now, down through towards turn 12 and into turn 13, which is another sort of hairpin corner. And rounding through towards turn 14 at Sagre and down into Gulp. Plenty of corners to be worried about here at Portimao, but Jarno Opmeer looking to try and probe them brilliantly. You can see there in behind as well a Red Bull looking to join in. That is a picture we have seen right through the season of Formula 1, usually done by Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton, but P3 for Jarno Opmeer at 1:16.020. Not quite the 15s we're used to seeing from the Dutchman, but never you mind, they've still got 7 minutes to go.
Yeah, and Rune Vallejo was the man donning that Red Bull car right behind Jarno Opmeer there. But Jarno Opmeer, I wonder if he is going for another... I don't believe he is going for another lap. He didn't really get out of the way of Rune Vallejo as he would have liked. But, of course, stealing the slipstream of Jarno Opmeer there. Rune Vallejo tried to be a bit cheeky, so maybe karma's come back to bite him. As Danny Moreno, wow, a 15.755. Times really are rolling out here. Joe Hannon as well goes into the 15.8. Times beginning to collapse down in towards the 15s. And now we've got 4 drivers in the 1-minute 15s. And I'd probably say we're going to see a couple more as Dylan Warren towards the line. I think he was actually valid on his lap, but that still was a 15.
Yep, certainly was. So Dylan Warren showing some very, very impeccable pace. Rune Vallejo looking to do exactly the same as well as he now comes through the Gulp corner and making his way down the stretch. Well, he's now going to take the Gulp corner, this down looping right-hander and making his way down the straight now in the Honda-powered Red Bull. Comes across the line into P9 is all he can get. Just behind Ulashes Yildirim, but he's got a huge mountain to climb. Approximately now, around about 0.5 of a second is what separates him between him and Ps 1 and 2. But Danny Moreno currently topping the timing screens right now. Blakely immediately out on an outlap. He's not wasting any time. No calm before the storm here at Portimao. Lucas going out straight away.
Yeah, normally in Q3 when you only have about 12 minutes, 10 minutes when you actually finish your outlap, you only get 1 or 2, maybe 3 if you are really committed. You only get 3 runs in Q3. So Lucas Blakely really going to try and topple Danny Moreno, maybe try and play a bit of a psychological game as well, just to let him know, hey, this is my position, back off. But even so, on this outlap, he's not looking quick, and I think, he's going to pull back into the pit lane there. So I believe that leaves us on a little bit of a lull period in qualifying. Anyone that's on a lap is invalid at the moment, and all drivers are in the pit lane. So it seems like we've got a little bit of a cool down period here, whilst all the drivers gear up for their final laps in qualifying. We've got a little bit of time to kill, George.
Yeah, we certainly do, and I got to say, it's great to have you guys joining us here tonight for this epic encounter at Portimao, certainly the Algarve GP, which has opened the door for many, certainly to battle out on track. Certainly here at PSGL, we welcome quality across all levels. Of course, this Tier 1 grid, which is made up of the best in the world, certainly in terms of F1 esports, but we go all the way down to, certainly on the PlayStation side, right down to F13, where, of course, you have your, if you're first getting into league racing, or you just want to sort of race casually with your friends. You know, it's a huge opportunity to certainly get involved, certainly in the league racing community, and no better place. You can meet some outstanding people and at the same time enjoy racing in your own way, which is great to see. But we're now watching the Red Bull of Ruben Vallejo get wheeled into the garage now, as we now find ourselves in the period, the calm before the storm, as we like to call it. And there's the look from the Mercedes garage, donned by that of Jarno Opmeer and Danny Moreno. And we can already see activity in Moreno's garage as they now wheel the car out, heading into the paddock. And Danny Moreno is going to go for one more run, one last chance to dance here at the end of this qualifying session, Q3 here at Portimao.
Yeah, Danny Moreno is one of the quickest drivers, I'd say, in one lap pace out of anyone on the grid tonight. So being on that time already, a 15.755. Granted, it is about 2/10 slower than Lucas's quickest time in Q2. But I guess maybe there's a little bit more cloud coverage, so it's probably more difficult to raise the grip levels. Danny Moreno, first one out on circuit at the moment. He's got a whole stampede of cars coming up behind him. He's got a Haas car. He's got a Williams and Dylan Warren. I think they might be having their own mini battles here. Dylan Warren there, he overtakes Danny Moreno. So no one really wants to be the first man to complete their laps, as Danny Moreno really is just getting out of the way of everyone here.
Yeah, he certainly is. Dylan Warren now leading them all, heading down into Tora VIP. And I tell you what, I'm looking forward to seeing how the cars cope with Tora VIP. That's going to be really interesting heading into the race. Now, Dylan Warren heading around the next right. And he's going to make a little bit of a climb as well, heading into Sector 3. But currently out on an outlap. Of course, no times to be registered at this point as they make their way down from Samsung into Craig Jones at Turn 9. And the Portimao bend at Turn 10 before rounding the next right-hander as well at Turn 11. Now down into Turn 12. And very undulating this track, and it's so nice to see because it does present so many different dynamics, tests the vibrancy of the drivers, how they can handle different situations. Obviously, doing it in qualifying is one thing, but you can imagine a race is a very different set of circumstances with other cars around you. As we now watch Dylan Warren now round the final corner at Gulp at Turn 15, and certainly now looking to try and stamp his authority in the only way he can do so. In behind as well, you've got Ulas Zildjian following him down towards Turn 1 as they now make their way into Primera. Dylan Warren kicking them off here, Danfield. Let's see what they can do.
Coming through the first sector, all 10 cars out on circuit at the moment, but Dylan Warren is going to be the first one to put us on a final qualifying run here. We've only got 1 minute and a half left in this session of qualifying, and Dylan Warren already coming out with some authority at 21.666. But is he going to be feeling devilish on this lap through the double right-hander here? Dylan Warren now missing his apex ever so slightly, as a big slide. You can see how tricky it is to maintain the traction, and I think he's backed out. He wants to go for another run here. That's going to unleash Ulas Zildjian playing a game of hot potato with who wants to go first on their lap. It was first Danny Moreno, then Dylan Warren, and now the Turkish driver of Ulas, and already 2/10 up on his previous best time. This could be good enough for a 15 if he really nails it through this final sector here, coming in towards Sagres corner and off the exit here, foot flat to the floor and using up all the power that he can in that Alpine car out of the final corner here. This could be his final run. Ulas Zildjian to the line, and he goes third position there. Brilliant stuff from him. 4.5 tenths almost improvement on his final lap. Previous best lap, but it's not enough to top Lucas Blakely, and Wilson Hughes does manage to top his fellow countryman of Lucas Blakely. He goes in second.
Yeah, Lucas Blakely now into P3, and Danny Moreno now heading around the next right-hander. He's going quicker as well in the black arrow of the Mercedes, making his way down through the next left, and certainly incredible stuff here as we're now witnessing them head around the next left yet again before he makes the almighty climb, heading around Turn 14. He's in Sector 3 proper now, and now he'll be heading towards 15 at Gulp Corner. As he does so, the black arrow looking to once again touch the precipice of P1 here, as currently Danny Moreno's holding on to it, but he's dodging into the pit lane. He's in the pit lane. Intriguing scenes here. Not something I expected, but a late change. And now Jarno Opmeer, who's also making his way around Sector 3. Can he topple his teammate here? Very, very key developments now, with extra time still remaining. Jarno Opmeer heading down, out to the next right, down through Gulp Corner now, diving down through Turn 15. screen now is the Dutchman. Can he knock off his teammate? Heading up into top spot, Jarno Opmeer to the line. P3 is all he can get. Danny Moreno retires in P1. Wilson Hughes holding on to P2 after a great visit indeed. Dylan Warren down into the next right-hander as well. He's going to try and make his way up through into the top echelons as well as he crosses the line. P2, Dylan Warren, extraordinary, as we're now seeing as well. Lucas Blakely up into P1 with a 115.595. Exceptional, near enough 1.5 tenths clear of Danny Moreno. Absolutely incredible scenes here. Wilson Hughes slowing down, so that decides it. Lucas Blakely is on pole.
How about that for a qualifying session? Brilliant stuff. We have just witnessed a whole 10th and a half ahead of his nearest rival, Lucas Blakely P1, Danny Moreno P2. And how about that from Dylan Warren as well? Just 2,000 off of the front row in that Williams car. A real George Russell performance from him there. He's got to be ecstatic with that one as this session rolls to a close. And look at how close that top 10 is. 0.4 of a second.
Yeah, brilliant stuff. That's exactly what we like to see. Minimal gaps between all of these drivers. Expertise being shown here by all of them. Brilliant from Lucas Blakely. Pole time, a 1:15.595. Exceptional stuff indeed. Well done to those of you who tipped him in the live chat. Danny Moreno into P2 as well. Dylan Warren P3. Joe Hannon P4. Wilson Hughes. Jarno Opmeer P6. But remember, he's on the medium tyres. Ulasas Yildirim as well. Ruben Vallejo P8. Jake Benham P9. And Simon Perigny in P10. But what an incredible session, folks. Lots of drama, lots of escalation heading in towards the end of that session. Great to see Lucas Blakely once again showing his real fast pace in qualifying. He has got it in abundance, folks. We've seen it so many times. We saw him battling with the best in pre-season. Unfortunately, he could not quite get to the precipice of where he wanted to be throughout the season. Remember, he has scored a P3 and a P2 this season, but not a P1. This is a huge opportunity for Blakely to go big here today, Danfield.
Absolutely, and one of his main rivals you could consider in this race being pretty far down the order by his standards, Jarno Opmeer, a good few places behind Lucas Blakely, and that could make it, really could be a struggle for the Dutchman, of course, the champion of this season, back-to-back PSGL F1 PC champion. He's going to find it a little bit more difficult than he normally does if he is normally starting at the very top, so it's going to be very difficult for him to really challenge Lucas. And I think if Lucas has got an opportunity to win a race, which he hasn't achieved so far, this has got to be it now.
It's a massive opportunity for Lucas Blakely to score a victory. I mean, every race matters, folks. You know, even though the championship has been decided, pride is on the table at the end of the day. If you can score a win, all these drivers want to win. And it's great practice, certainly, for F1 Esports. That's just around the corner next week. Obviously, PSGL F1 attracts the best, and it gives them a great opportunity to race off against the best in the world in competitive circumstances. And you don't get that in many other places. So, a great opportunity for these guys, nevertheless. Great opportunity for Lucas Blakely, but I think he must be a little concerned with who's alongside him, because Danny Moreno, a relentless figure in P2, Danfield.
Yeah, and don't forget, Danny Moreno managed to get into Q3 on a set of the medium compound tyres, which means he is starting on that same set. And whilst he might not have the advantage early on in qualifying, it is really going to come back the way of him later on in the session when he can pit onto a different set of the times. We've got 33 laps around here, so maybe the alternate strategy could be crucial around here. It's all about the start for Lucas, I'd say. If he is going to be... well, if he wants a chance to win this race, he's got to jump ahead of Moreno as far as he can and probably break DRS. I'd say it's going to be the crucial thing. But hey, last week, Jarno Opmeer starts on the set at the start when all those around him were on the mediums. Look how that turned out.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to certainly provide a storm. We're going to be seeing a battle, folks, nevertheless. So brace yourself for a really, really strong drive. Norberto, unfortunately, disqualified from qualifying. That can only mean a collision. So that's really going to put him on the back foot in terms of getting his tyres warm. But we want to hear from you, folks, in the live chat, obviously, as they come to the end of the formation lap very, very shortly. Who is your tip to win tonight's Algarve GP here at PSGL? Dan, I'm going to pull it over to you. Who do you think's got this one?
You put me on the spot right at the very depth of it. Just for fun, I'm going to say someone outside the top 10 on the alternate strategy. So you know what? I'm going to go with Piotr Stahelek. Oh, you know what? Jake Benham as well. I think one of those two are going to win this race.
You reckon? So that's where you're going. Obviously, I'm now looking in the live chat. Tom Martinez getting some love in the live chat as well. Dylan Warren leads into turn 1, says Cartalundi. Where are we? Looking also, Danny Moreno is a tip here as well. We've got Lucas Blakely or Dylan Warren in the live chat, says C. Deer. Further down, JP going for Yarno Watmere. Empower going for Warren. We got Bengali going for Moreno. Further down, more. Lucas says Lighty44. We got some others as well. Lucas Easy says Alan Martin. Further down as well, Frederick Anderson's gone. Danny Moreno as well. Clapperstein has gone for Danny Moreno. As Yildirim says Alp Telek. As well as further down, we got Dylan for the win, says Empower. They're coming up to the line now, folks. The race is about to begin. Brace yourself. We're going to be in for an incredible ride. First light, second light, third light, fourth light, the fifth light. And it's pedal to the metal. Go, 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 go. Lucas Blakely gets away okay, but in mind, Danny Moreno searching for the slipstream. The battle for P3 rages on, though, with Wilson Hughes and Dylan Warren. Yarno Watmere immediately pouncing himself up into P5. Extraordinary move around Ruben Vallejo, and Joe Hannon moves his way up 2 places. Extraordinary for the Dutchman, but still wheel to wheel. Now this time with Dylan Warren as they make their way down towards Tora Vip. Outside line for the Dutchman, a 3 wide further back as well with Ulas and Zilderin, but still it's Lucas Blakely leading. Yarno Watmere still tussling with this man Dylan Warren, round in the next right-hander now, heading into the next right again, but the Mercedes is on top here, Danfield.
Yeah, Dylan Warren did not want to back out, and that has cost him because Joe Hannon now going to slip past him. Ruben Vallejo could be watching on in the sidelines there, but Yarno Watmere really committed to that move, but he's made his way up to 4th position already in this race. But I was watching Wilson Hughes on that start as well. Looked absolutely fantastic, and someone else who is Dylan Warren going back up the inside line of Joe Hannon. He's really getting the elbows out. He's lost a number of positions on this first lap, so he's trying to make up for lost ground. Didn't quite work out this time there, but he is really committed to this one, and he wants those positions.
Yeah, well, if you remember, Joe Hannon starting on the medium tyres, an opportune move indeed is what lent himself an opportunity here. Simon Perigny now right on the rear of Ruben Vallejo, and you can tell that these two are going to be going at it into turn 1. You can see that the Ferrari swarming all over the rear of the Red Bull. Luke Smith goes ahead of Tom Martinez. A battle at the back there, wheel-to-wheel action as they make their way down through turn 2. Turn 3 next. Tom Martinez deep dive down the inside now. Remember, he spun yesterday and he gets the upper hand this time on Luke Smith, who's now got another problem because now Simon Corbett, oh, Luke Smith's out. Luke Smith's out. Yellow flags in sector 1 downfield.
Yeah, VSC deployed, he's got no front wing there, and Perigny already has a 3-second time penalty for multiple track limit warnings there. Really unfortunate. Luke Smith's got to come back into the pit lane, got to get that repaired, and if he doesn't have a safety car, well, it's going to be really detrimental to his race later on. VSC deployed, all drivers have got to go 40% of top speed. So they're looking like they're coming to a call about 150 kilometers per hour, but we should soon be going green. Lucas Blakely, though, controlling it from the very start. Danny Moreno losing quite a bit of time, of course, on the slower medium tyres at this point. They'll ramp up later on in the race. Wilson Hughes as well in P3 on the set of the softs. So Danny Moreno in a tricky situation at the moment, but we should soon be seeing the green flag as... we're just waiting. I think there it is. Yeah, we're back underway racing, and I think Lucas Blakely nails the restart because he's a second ahead of Danny.
Yeah, wow, what progress there from Lucas Blakely, utilising those soft tyres. Remember, Moreno is on medium, so you would expect Blakely to be quicker. He knows he needs to get moving. Now is the time, says Lucas Blakely, and he's now flying once again. In behind him, you can see Danny Moreno trying to pull himself right back into that 1 second gap. He needs to stay within DRS when it activates this. Lucas now taking advantage of the fact that DRS is not active right now, making his way down towards turn, well, certainly the next left-hander around Tora Vip at turn 5. Wilson Hughes right in the rear as well. Dylan Warren in P6 as well, still scrapping. I have to say, he's had a very, very, very interesting start. Lewis Welch as well making moves, as Simon Perigny also riding on the rear of Ruben Vallejo. We got battles right across the field here, but Simon Perigny looking so devilish in behind that Red Bull.
He's looking so close to the rear of Vallejo, and he's got a little bit more battery to deploy, which he can use to overtake Ruben Vallejo potentially down the straight as coming through turn the middle sector here, turn number 11 in towards turn 12. He can make a diving move here. Perigny still looking right onto the back of the Red Bull car, as a bit of a mistake from Vallejo as well could be to the advantage of Simon Perigny, as now they're going to go foot flat to the floor to begin lap number 4 as off the exit of turn 15. Perigny looking really quick down in towards turn number 1, using up his overtake here. Perigny closing to the rear of Vallejo, almost defenseless in towards turn number 1, pulling to the inside line. The Ferrari car goes wheel to wheel through turn number 1, being forced off the road is the Spaniard there. Perigny's made that move stick into P7, I believe, as Ulysses Ildrim and Jake Benham having a little scrap through turn 3 and turn 4. It's all kicking off down and out the order. What can Jake Benham do? Because he has DRS on Ulysses Ildrim. More moves being made at the front, George.
Yeah, Wilson Hughes getting into P2, breaking Danny Moreno for that second place, utilising the soft tyres to their purpose. Well done, Wilson Hughes, getting that done. And Danny Moreno now at the mercy of his teammate Jarno Opmeer, who's now spying all over the rear diffuser of that Mercedes. Blakely might as well have said goodbye. He's now 2.2 seconds ahead of Wilson Hughes. Extraordinary stuff. Brilliant from Lucas Blakely. In behind further back, Joe Hannon, now half a second delta between him and Jarno Opmeer. Further down as well, Lewis Welch as well in the Aston Martin, doing okay. 2.5 tenths is what separates him and Jake Benham, and he does like this track, does Lewis Welch. Extraordinary stuff indeed. On the pad of all things, at a track that is so treacherous, so tricky, certainly with the undulations, the blind corners as well. It really can force you to make a mistake, as we're now watching them make their way down the stretch yet again, and Ulysses Ildrim is going to be at the mercy of one Jake Benham now as they come down towards turn 1. The all-star Jake Benham dives in on the inside on the medium tyres, up into the switchback from Ildrim. Oh, brilliant! Muscles off Jake Benham and says, no chance, mate, no chance. P9 is mine. The Haas relegated to P10.
We could be coming back in towards Torre Vips here, because they're onto the downhill section. Jake Benham up the inside of Ulysses Ildrim. Contact between the pair of them. What the hell has happened there? Jake Benham off and into the gravel, spun around, and oh dearie me, I just don't know what happened there.
No, not good at all, and we've seen it. We saw it yesterday. Tom Martinez, near enough the exact same situation, and he's actually left the session. That's a retirement, folks. Jake Benham has retired from the session. At least I believe he has anyway. That will be a retirement nevertheless. We saw it at Tour of it yesterday with the blow between Tom Martinez, and he went himself off the track as well, but fought back and did so valiantly to pull himself back into the race, which was very well done from him. As we're now watching Lewis Welch coming around the next right-hander, spying and looking all over the rear of Ulysses Ildrim now as they ran through it. You can see him behind as well, Ruben Pedreño, who is now going to pick up all the pieces now for Haas. As you can see, that Jake Benham is rooted in P19. There you can see the DRS now open as Lewis Welch in the Aston Martin. Here he comes down in now. P9 is what he gets into turn 1, and that familiar green livery of Aston Martin now hail well in the top 10 now, right ahead of Ulysses Ildrim. I got to say, Louis Welch on a pad, extraordinary.
And he's the highest driver up that started outside the top 10 on the set, the medium tyres, so he's going to have the freshest of all of the medium runners who are inside the top 10, like Danny Moreno, Jarno Opmeer, Joe Hannon as well. So Louis Welch in a really strong stead for the rest of this Grand Prix, and especially since all the drivers in front of him are beginning to scrap out. Joe Hannon beginning to lead a train of Dylan Warren, Simon Perigny and Rune Vallejo, and that could be to the benefit as Luke Smith unfortunately retiring in the pit lane there. He is out of this race, but Louis Welch, this will be beneficial for him. If all these guys in front of him start fighting, it'll just make it easier for him to pick up time.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's this man as well, Dylan Warren, who has been really, really aggressive at the start here and has actually done exceptionally well, you know, holding on to his position, and certainly you'd expect him to do so on the soft tyres. A great visit from him so far. Currently locked in behind Joe Hannon as they make their way down the stretch. In behind him, he's got Simon Perigny, who's looking to try and join him. You can see him now gaining on Joe Hannon moment by moment as they ran through turn 1. There you can see Jarno Opmeer in the distance, in behind Danny Moreno, and there you can see two cars off the track. Oh, blimey! Blakely's off downfield.
What has happened there? He's around. He's got wing damage. Lucas Blakely. Somehow, I'm hoping that it is not the stricken Alpine car of Luke Smith that caused that one there. What has happened to Lucas Blakely? Now he's right down at the very back of the order. Surely race over for him, and Norberto as well having a spin.
Yeah, Norberto's off as well. Drama here late in the, well, certainly early in the race. Lap 7 of 33. Lucas Blakely spinning around turn 1. I'm not sure what the circumstances were, but he is now out of the session and we didn't get to see what happened. But nevertheless, drama in abundance from the get-go. Lucas Blakely, when is he going to get some good luck in his favour? He has really struggled with the luck factor, certainly in this season, and it just races have not gone his way. He's been absolutely superb in terms of his racecraft and his absolute ability to drive a Formula 1 car on the Formula 1 game, but once again he loses himself. I'm not sure whether it's a collision with a back marker or something or anything like that. I have no idea, to be honest, Dan. I cannot explain that, as when I'm watching Jarno Opmeer head down towards turn 1 and look who's on his rear. Joe Hannon not far away as well. Samuel Bean starting to gain some places. He's right on the rear of the sister car of Poitou Stachilek as they ran through turn 1, and Samuel Bean still right on his rear as they head down towards turn 3. No move can be made. He's going to lock him behind. But nevertheless, drama from the early goings on. Lap 7, we saw the loss of Lucas Blakely.
Yep, I've just turned on his Twitch stream and I watched it back, and it is indeed the back marker of the retired Luke Smith out of this race has come back onto the track, sat in the in the middle of the road, and Lucas obviously expected him to ghost, as you would expect. You know, that is a fair assumption. And now it just didn't ghost. He took his wing off and spun him around. So Lucas Blakely's got a lot of work to do if he wants to win this race. He's opted for a set of the hard compound of tyres to come back into this one. But the luck will never come for this man.
No, not at all. He's really lost out. I have to say, he's really had a tricky season. And do feel sorry for Lucas Blakely. We spoke about it last week. But fair play to him. He's carrying on and has overtaken Jake Benham for P18. So he is trying to move up. But we're still locked in front here with the DRS train all the way down to P7. You got Wilson Hughes in P1 with Danny Moreno in P2. Jarno Opmeer has one in behind him. We're now watching Dylan Warren as now Ruben Pedreño moves his way up ahead of Ulas Zildrim. Absolutely explosive there from the Haas there of Ruben Pedreño going past that man in the Alpine. Ulas Zildrim, who did look for the switchback there. He might still try and look for it. Goes down deep, shallow on the inside. As indeed now Ruben Pedreño powers through and gains a little bit of delta, 0.3 of a second in his favour. But that will open the door for Antoine Desaluski as they ran their way into Tora Vip. No move made again, but Ulas once again on the tail of the Haas. Extraordinary race so far downfield.
Yeah, absolutely, and they're all going to be scrapping it out here as Antoine Desaluski looks to be the next one, trying to overtake Ulas Zildrim, but a little bit of a twitch through turn number 7 could hurt his run through 9 and 10 here, but he is closing up to the back of Ulas, who is really struggling at this point with the older soft tyres at this point and a lot less ERS to work with, so he's really going to be a sitting duck on the straight to the likes of Desaluski and Stachilek. So you've really got to watch out for these guys trying to fight for some points ahead of the Alpine car, and we'll see what they can do off the exit of turn 14 and in towards turn 15. Desaluski already using up some of the battery on the straight here, and off the exit Ulas Zildrim going to be the first one to box onto the off the set of the soft tyres he was on, and I'd say that's a smart move for him, as more moves could be looking to be made because Samuel Bean closing up to the back of Stachilek, but no, the sister car's not going to be locking horns at this point.
No, not at all. And there you can see another look there from Samuel Bean. He really likes to play on this track. He's had a nose on several occasions on Poitou Stachilek, but nothing can be made. But he might get a chance here down towards Tora Vip. In comes Samuel Bean on the rear now of the Red Bull. No, oh, that's late. Very late indeed. And he just was a bit indecisive, but he still might be there. Did not get a good exit. And a Tora Vip. And that's opened the door for Benjamin Conye, Ferrari's latest signing. Certainly for this season in esports. Tight in behind that man, Samuel Bean. But I have to say, a little bit of indecision, a split second of indecision, very nearly costing him. Tom Martinez, what a rise from the Alfa Romeo. He's also well and truly in now, as you now see a deep dive from Benjamo, who now in the thick of it with Tom Martinez, who's finding all the lines, the right lines ahead of Benjamo. Can see that he's sweating slightly in the Scuderia. I've got to say, watch out, Tom Martinez could be here to party here.
He's looking really calm and collected at this point. in comparison to Jabaconde, who seems like he's all over the road in comparison to the Alfa Romeo car. If Tom can get a good exit here, which it seems like he has, he could be onto the back of the Ferrari car in towards turn number 1. But even so, Jabaconde seems to be pulling away from him ever so slightly into the first corner. This is the power of the DRS trains, as I'm going to pull the attention, I think, to the front of the order, because Danny Moreno closing up to the back of Wilson Hughes in towards Torre Vip's corner. Oh, he could have gone for the dive bomb there, but it's getting really close between the two leaders, George.
It is. It's getting so tight indeed. 0.3 of a second. The difference between Wilson Hughes and Danny Moreno. The machine is very much still hunting on the rear of that McLaren. Has actually brought that delta right in here. So it's going to be very interesting to see what he can do as they make their way through the helter-skelter section, through Sector 2 into Sector 3 very shortly. And there you can see medium tyres now starting to come into effect for the Mercedes in behind the McLaren of Wilson Hughes, who's now rising up through the next left-hander. They have got to make their way now out of turn 13 very shortly, around towards turn 14, and that's the ghosted car of Jake Benham in behind as well, as the other leaders make their way through. Danny Moreno 0.4 of a second back from Wilson Hughes. Can obviously sense that he'll have a chance here, but you firmly expect Wilson Hughes to box soon as well. Lap 11 of 33. He's not boxing this time, but the door will open for the machine now with the DRS opened up. The Mercedes right up alongside. This time on Wilson Hughes is for the lead, and Moreno leads now into turn 1. Brilliant from the machine, Danny Moreno. Patience is certainly a virtue where he's concerned, and he's now on top.
Yeah, Danny Moreno leading this race now, and Wilson Hughes going to be slipping down the order. A couple more drivers came into the pit lane, and we've got yellow flags in Sector 1. I'm trying to look out to see who that is. I'm trying to see, I don't know who it was that had the spin there. It might have been Jabaconde, I'm not too sure, as Jan could be looking to make the move on Wilson Hughes very soon. But as I was saying, Wilson Hughes going to be slipping down the order, as I'd expect him to try and come into the pit lane, take off that set of the tyres that he is on at the moment, and then go run it fresh on the hard tyres. It seems like what his rivals around him have done, although some of them have gone onto the mediums as well. So it's all up in the air as to what the strategy really is around this track. But Wilson Hughes, you've got to say, still in a good place.
Yeah, no, absolutely. He is in a very good spot. Naturally, still on soft tyres. He'll still have to pit yet. And no doubt his next stop, I'd imagine, he might try and get those mediums to the end. We'll have to keep an eye and see what those strategies are as they now round their way through the next right-hander. Naturally, Wilson Hughes will have DRS, but will it be enough to keep the Dutchman off his tail? We've seen how quick the turn of foot is in these cars down this straight. Jarno Watmir is gaining. He's getting slowly but surely there towards the rear of Wilson Hughes. We're already seeing Ruben Vallejo now boxing into the pit lane. In behind him, you can see now all the cars starting to cruise up further up in the field. Tom Martinez, a great recovery, has done exceptionally well as we now watch now as we see Jarno Watmir right on the rear now of Wilson Hughes. Will he try and move, heading down into Torre Vip as they make their way into the next left? No, he's going to have to be patient. He's going to sit in behind the McLaren here, Dan, but I get the feeling that his number might be up very soon.
Yeah, I think as long as Wilson Hughes keeps with Danny Moreno, I think Jarno Watmir might be happy to just sit behind the McLaren car as long as he keeps up with his rival and teammate as well. It could be a real Hamilton-Rosberg story between the pair of these two, especially coming into F1 esports next week. But Jarno Watmir, I'd say his patience is like a tether, and I'd say that tether will run out eventually. So if Wilson Hughes doesn't box soon, I think Jarno would try and force the move, especially with 30% more battery than the young Scotsman. But we'll see what the effect is at this point for Wilson Hughes. We'll see him if he comes into the pit lane. He's using up a lot of his overtakes, so that would suggest to me he's trying to burn it off just so he can go as much speed as he can. Coming into the pit lane? No, he doesn't. Jarno Watmir now has to follow once again another lap behind Wilson Hughes. But even so, the Scotsman actually pulling away from him.
Yeah, he is. I've got to say, he's doing a mighty good job. I mean, the longer he stays out, the more the medium tyre strategy is going to be effective. As Samuel Bean immediately pounces on Poitou Stachulek for that P8 spot. Brilliant from Samuel Bean. And he'll be delighted with that. And certainly AlphaTauri will be jumping for joy at the scenes of this man who has been absolutely extraordinary this season. As Simon Perigny on fresh medium tyres lands the fastest lap of a 1:17.999. Do not call an ambulance, folks. An exceptional time indeed for Simon Perigny. Danny Moreno still leads 6.5 of a second. The delta gap is sprung out to 7, and Jarno Watmir not closing up on the back of Wilson Hughes, at least for now. Of course, they're going to have to wait and see what the pit stop phase brings. You naturally think that after the pit stops are completed, Dan, that is where it's all going to kick off again.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just a matter of when those pit stops happen. We saw for the soft runners, they pitted around about lap 12. Some of them did. Ulas came in a bit earlier, about lap 10 is when he decided to box. But I think Wilson Hughes' tyres now really are on the cusp of running out here because he's now out of the DRS 1 second window that he needs on Danny Moreno. And there he goes. He pulls into the pit lane. Finally going to be taking off that set of the soft tyres. We have to expect the likes of Dylan Warren to undercut him. Simon Perigny also as well could be overtaking him here.
Yeah, absolutely. It's now the formulative pit stops coming into play, folks. We're nearing the halfway point in the race, lap 15 of 33 in a lap or so, as Ben Charbonnier immediately makes his way up into P11 now as well, in behind Sam Corby. Tom Martinez, P9, 3-second time penalty though, which is not going to be ideal at the end of this race. Looking further up, Pedreño is actually making his way forward as well. Wilson Hughes will now surely exit the pit lane, and he has landed himself crucially in behind Dylan Warren. Now, interestingly enough, that could be a little bit tight. We'll have to wait and see as he now rounds the next left-hander down through towards Toro Vip. You can now see Dylan Warren. Will he opt to make the move here heading around the next left? Not this time. Perigny holding firm in P13, but he does have a penalty downfield.
Absolutely, he managed to overtake Dylan Warren. It was almost a 3-wide affair in towards turn number 1 with Wilson Hughes coming out the pit lane. But he does have the fresher tyres on that McLaren car, and that's going to benefit him coming in towards the latter part of the race. We're almost at the halfway point here. The current leaders are the two Mercedes cars, the Constructors Champions, as well of Danny Moreno and Jarno Otmid. But Joe Hannon following close in tow, making his return to F1. Of course, he raced at F2 last night, and I believe he picked up a podium, so he really does enjoy this circuit. And we'll see what he can do in comparison to the two Mercedes drivers, as Tom Martinez and Piotr Stahelek going to be fighting out. Tom Martinez got to find a long way around here. Stahelek cuts him off in towards turn number 1. Can Martinez got the inside line? He's going to opt for the long way around the left-hand side, the outside. Doesn't seem to work out, but coming onto the DRS straight away here, you've got 4 cars all following in tandem with each other. I'm watching Antoine Desaluski as well, trying to make the move on Samuel Bean in front of him, but it's not going to quite work out. They're all going to be concertinaing up through Torre Vips, but no move being made there.
No, not at all. That's Antoine Desaluski driving a good race too, right in behind Samuel Bean. Just going to say, I don't think it's ideal that Wilson Hughes came out the place that he did. I think Danny Moreno and certainly Jarno Otmir doing their absolute utmost on the medium tyres, making the most of it, and that is why ideally you want to be on the mediums at the start of this race. You can really execute that strategy to perfection here at Portimao, and the fact that they've got quite a good gap in between Lewis Welch and Ruben Pedreño, that will assist them when they make their way out onto the soft tyres towards the end of this race. I can only imagine that is the plan, as you can now see Antoine Desaluski in P7. Now he's got a different battle on his hands, because Piotr Stahelek is right in his rear here. No longer is he on the tail of Samuel Bean, who's crept forward by near enough 0.8 of a second. You can now see that that Red Bull is starting to get closer and closer and closer to the rear of that McLaren. In behind as well, you've got Tom Martinez, who is also having a little nose. Remember, he is not scared to make crucial moves when they count. He is currently locked in behind that of the Red Bull of Piotr Stahelek, but no move can be made at this moment in time, as Jarno Otmir now right on the tail of Danny Moreno. Chances for Otmir to go ahead of his teammate here this time.
Yeah, absolutely. About 3.5 tenths between the pair of them. They're just about to lap Jake Benham here. Danny Moreno clips the inside curb. That's going to put them at a start disadvantage to Jarno Otmir in behind through turn 9 and up towards turn 10. And you'd expect being 0.3 of a second back behind. The same gap goes for Joe Hannon. These guys will be right on the rear of Danny Moreno in towards turn number 1. I think Moreno's got to pick it up ever so slightly, but in terms of the battery situation, he is the best of them all, so he's got that flexibility to hold them off in towards the first corner. We'll see what he can do as he just lightly breezes on the ERS battery power off the exit of turn number 15. I think he's done enough. I don't think Jarno Otmir is going to be close enough to go in towards turn number 1 ahead of him, but what about Joe Hannon in behind, using up the DRS, the drag reductive system, in towards turn number 1. He closes, but the opportunity never comes for the British driver, so he's going to have to stay behind the two Mercedes cars for just at least 1 lap more here.
Yeah, and Tom Martinez having a little look on the inside of Piotr Stahelek as well. Could not find it. at least at that moment in time, but he still remains right behind the Red Bull as they now nurse their way through turn 3 up towards turn 4, and still the gap's relatively healthy. Tom Martinez unable to breach the 0.2 of a second gap. He might get it though this time heading into Tora Vip. He won't make the move like he did last time, but just look how close the Stachulek, last of the late breakers, got so tight to the rear of Antoine Desalewski and got very harem scarum heading into that part of the track. Looking further up though, still it remains Danny Moreno out in front. The gap now springing out to near enough 0.8 now as they make their way around. You can now see these cars. Look at Tom Martinez, ever dynamic. He's within 0.1 of a second. Great chance to make the move. Heading around the next right now, out to Portimao. Brilliant from Tom Martinez. Exquisite manoeuvre on the medium tyres. Level up with Stachulek, who's still on his tail, but Martinez picked his spot, heading around turn 13 and heading into Sagre. He's in P8.
Ian Poulter move-esque there, because it's signed, sealed and delivered from the postman Tom Martinez. He's made that move stick in a very obscure place to make an overtake. Brilliant stuff from Martinez on Stachulek. I half expect him that he didn't actually I expect that he didn't even think he'd go for that move, but lo and behold he did, as Vallejo leaves the session here. I hope that's not lag disconnect from him, as more drivers coming into the pit lane. We've got the likes of Ruben Pedreño, Samuel Bean, Antoine Desalewski, all of them boxing onto a set of soft compound of tyres. They're going to be taking this set to the end. They'll be closing to the likes of Dylan Warren, Wilson Hughes and Simon Perigny in due course, George.
Yeah, well, the key moment here, Dan, and I'm not sure whether you agree with me here, it's going to be when Danny Moreno pits for his stop. I'd imagine it's going to be Danny first. Maybe Otmir might choose. I'll have to wait and see. But either of the Mercedes, when they pit, that is the key moment in this race. We'll have to keep an eye on it and see what happens. Lap 19 of 33. We're getting closer to that point now. This could be the sweet spot where Danny Moreno and Jarno Otmir now look to pit their cars. 6 seconds being maintained at this moment in time between that of Lewis Welch and Joe Hannon. In mind, you can see Joe Hannon. What a race he is driving right now here, Dan. P3, probably the best performance so far this season from the man in the Alfa Romeo. We'll have to wait and see what he can do, because he is right up there with the fight.
Yeah, he's right with the two Mercedes esports drivers. I'd say he'd be pretty pleased with how this race is going so far, and he's got a comfortable gap, I'd say, further back behind, as Ruben Vallejo losing a good few positions, given that he is an AI car at the moment. Unfortunately, he's lagged out the session, and that's completely ruined his race. And considering he was in a pretty decent position, I'd say he'd be pretty annoyed as to how that one has gone. A lot of issues on this game, unfortunately, but they are all managing to keep it so far, as Antoine Desalewski looking like he wants to go for a move on Samuel Bean towards turn number 1. The AlphaTauri car looks helpless in the wraith of the McLaren car up the inside. P12 for Antoine Desalewski. Samuel Bean could try and fight him back here and towards turn number 3. Doesn't seem like it's. Norberto sets the fastest lap of the Grand Prix here. DRS is going to be open for Samuel Bean once again, and that benefit not going to be shared by Antoine Desalewski, but he pulls away on the straightaway, on the straight here, and I don't believe he's going to be able to go for that move. So Antoine Desalewski, pretty nice and tidy from him there, up in towards P12, and he'll be hunting down Ruben Pedreño in 11th very soon.
Yeah, no deep dive into Tora Vip. Antoine Desalewski holding on to that P12. And he has looked menacing right through this race. He's been right in the rear, doing his utmost. In behind now, you can see that Samuel Bean is still clocking right onto the rear of the McLaren. He will get another chance as Ben Charbot-Cogny himself goes past. Ruben Vallejo is, of course, out of this session right now. Looking further up, we're going to rejoin the battle between Samuel Bean, as now Poitou Stachulek is making his moves as well. We're seeing, I think, some pit stops happening here at this phase of the race. Lewis Welch boxing in, as well as Tom Martinez for their stops as they now make their way around the next right-hander now. You can see this time the Samuel Bean once again on the tail of Antoine Desalewski. Great chance here again, this time for the AlphaTauri. Nose to tail as they make their way past the paddock. Opening up the door does the AlphaTauri. Samuel Bean, no messing about. It's exactly as we prophesized. Round the start-finish straight and leads him. Makes his way up into P11 ahead of Antoine Desalewski.
Tidy stuff from both of these drivers there, exchanging positions in the bottom half. Unfortunately, they're making some very nice moves. So it's great to see, even throughout the order, they are still trying to keep it as clean as possible. And now Louis Welch has come out the pit lane. He is in P10, just behind Ruben Pedreño. And he seems to have some brilliant pace so far in this race today. So I'd imagine Louis Welch could be in a great position coming into the latter part of this Grand Prix. We're on lap 21 of 33. Jarno Otmir now pulling into the pit lane, and Joe Hannon as well. These are two of the top 3 drivers at the moment in this race. So it's going to be crucial that they get these pit stops absolutely perfect. As Jan Otmar gets his car serviced, he's going to pull out on a set of the soft compound tyres. You'd expect the same thing from the Alfa Romeo garage, but where are they going to emerge in comparison to their rivals? They've got to be watching Wilson Hughes here as well, because I'd imagine with the undercut, he'll be jumping both of them.
Yeah, he certainly will be. Wilson Hughes now making his way down the straight. There's the McLaren now. Jarno Otmar coming out of the pit lane, and Wilson Hughes, very, very key point in the race, leads Jarno Otmar now into P2, and this is going to be interesting because Danny Moreno, surely you'd anticipate, is going to be coming in on this lap just to avoid the double stack. So let's keep our eyes peeled, folks. That is the delta time. Those are the intervals. Jarno Otmar now knows he needs to dispatch Simon Perigny while he can, making his way out of Tora Vip. So now Jarno Otmar needs to kick things into gear, needs to try and dispatch these back markers, needs to try and get as close as he can to Wilson Hughes. Damn, that could be devastating. The fact that Dylan Warren and Simon Perigny are ahead of him right now, that's going to cause some complications.
Yeah, and he's going to try and look up the inside in towards turn number 10 and 11 of Simon Perigny. My voice going here. Danny Moreno pulls into the pit lane here. Jan Otmar trying to make the moves around the outside line of turn 12 and 13. Simon Perigny outbreaks himself there as Jan Otmar off the exit of the corner in towards turn number 14. They're still going wheel to wheel, but I think the move been made by Jan Otmar. Brilliant stuff from the Dutchman. I think Perigny still wants a bite at the cherry because off the exit of the corner, he's going to be fighting back on Otmar as wheel to wheel down the straight here. Here they go side by side in towards turn number 1. Who has got the grit? Is it going to be Joe Hannon as well, trying to go up the inside of Simon Perigny? Brilliant stuff from Joe Hannon there.
Yeah, brilliant stuff indeed from Jarno Otmar to defend, but how about that from Joe Hannon, who was of course following Jarno Otmar and Danny Moreno earlier on in this race. He's also got a little bit of a mountain to climb, but Jarno Otmar holding on, at least for now. But there you can see Joe Hannon, who will certainly look forward to this opportunity, because while Jarno is hung up here on Dylan Warren, he'll provide Joe Hannon with the perfect opportunity to try and close up on the Dutchman. We're going to be seeing maybe a few three-wide affairs, folks. Danny Moreno still currently in front right now. Wilson Hughes, it's the perfect strategy for Mercedes. Moreno still in front, out of the pit phase, and Wilson Hughes now down into P2 as Jarno Otmar immediately strikes here on Dylan Warren at the same corner where he took Simon Perigny. Jarno Otmar in front now. Dylan Warren looking for the comeback, but there's nothing he can do about that. Incredible stuff here.
Jan Otmar really trying to take the opportunities with a firm grasp, and so does Joe Hannon as well, getting past Dylan Warren and now out of turn 15. Jan Otmar is going to be putting on the pressure to Wilson Hughes, who is just a little bit further up the road than him, so I'd imagine that he might not get this move stuck, and I'd say that is going to be to the advantage of Joe Hannon, because now they're all going to concertina up in towards turn number 1 here. Jan Otmar through turn 3, it looks like he could be trying for the move on Wilson Hughes, closing up to the rear on the fresh soft tyres. His teammate just stretching away further up the road. Is Wilson Hughes going to defend this one here? He's using up some of his overtake in towards turn number 5. Torrey Vip's corner. Jan Otmar goes up the inside line of Wilson Hughes. Doesn't seem like Wilson had too much of a fight, but now it is a 1-2 for Mercedes. Danny Moreno leads by almost 2 seconds to his rival Jarno Otmar. This could be a cracking end to this race, George.
Yeah, but very key note to make is that Moreno, in all the battling, has pulled out a gap of 1.8 seconds. So it's going to be a huge mountain to climb for Jarno Otmar in order to peg back on Danny Moreno. Danny Moreno, incidentally, has yet to win a race this season. He has only had 2 P2 performances with a P3 at France. So a big day for Danny Moreno if he can try and unleash the beast here. In behind Jarno Otmar, 1.8 seconds. Wilson Hughes in behind him as well. Great opportunity here for Joe Hannon as they head around the next right-hander now. Down through towards the final corner, through the final corner towards the home straight. And this time, Joe Hannon will be the next one to go as he makes his way now past Wilson Hughes. Soft tyres applied. Magic here from Joe Hannon. Up into P3. The strategy working absolutely perfectly. He followed the Mercedes through on the first stint and managed to make it happen again on his second stint. Getting past Wilson Hughes, he's up into P3.
So it's looking like the alternate strategy is king around this circuit, because all these guys started on a set of the medium compound tyres, and now they're 1, 2 and 3, and surely they'll be stretching their gap to Wilson Hughes and Dylan Warren and Simon Brigney behind, because they've been on their tyres for quite some time in comparison. I believe 9 laps for Wilson Hughes, only 2 laps for Joe Hannon and Jarno Opmeer, so I'd say the difference is going to be very apparent. But Wilson Hughes, he has got the grit and he's got the determination, I'd say, to keep with these guys, and it is not going to be over until the checkered flag waves. You know, one of these guys could get a penalty. We just never know. You can't predict anything in Formula 1, especially in PSGL. So Wilson Hughes, Dylan Warren and Simon Brigney, they've just got to keep on trucking here. They've got to keep on going and never give up here. Lap 25 going to be rolling onto lap 26. Danny Moreno leading from Jarno Opmeer.
Yeah, literally the gap now separated by 2.2 seconds between Danny Moreno and Jarno Opmeer. Joe Hannon now right in behind the Dutchman. In fact, he's actually gained a mighty 0.2 of a second. He's 0.3 behind Jarno Opmeer now, making his way around the next right-hander. He's absolutely flying. He's having a great race, probably his race of the season at this moment in time. And to make their way down towards the next left-hander at Toro Vip, of course, Jarno, you can see the blinking light on the rear of his car. That means he is energy saving right now. So that explains why the gap between him and Danny Moreno has been pushed out by 4 to 5 of a second, and it's allowed Joe Hannon to sort of close the gap now. He's actually pulling it back while Jarno now utilises the energy saving properties of the car. Now Joe Hannon wants to try at this moment in time to unleash the Alfa Romeo at this point when Jarno is weak, but he will have an opportunity down the home straight, given the fact that the Dutchman now is out of DRS on Danny Moreno, and is so by a crucial amount, because of course 1.6 seconds outside of the DRS gap, of course that being a second, hence 2.7 seconds. So this is a great chance now for Joe Hannon as they head their way around, and Jarno Opmeer knows it. In fact, he's trying to put on a burst heading around the final corner. Is it going to be enough though to keep Joe Hannon right behind him here as they make their way down the stretch? As we now see the car come into the box, I believe that might have been, I'm not quite sure quite which one was. There's Joe Hannon now right on the rear. Does he go for a move on Opmeer? Not this time though, around turn 1. He's going to hold back, hold on to P3, but it looked like he had an opportunity there downfield.
Yeah, and I think he's made his intentions clear as to how he wants to carry out the rest of this race, is that he doesn't want to overtake Jarno Opmeer too soon, because then Jarno's just going to have that advantage straight away. Seems like Danny Moreno is stretching his advantage up the road. He's now 3 seconds clear of Jarno Opmeer in behind him, so it's looking like if Danny Moreno can keep this pace up, he is going to be winning this race, and that means Joe Hannon, he's shifted his attention from the win to a P2 finish, and he's putting his priorities into waiting for the absolutely opportune moment to attack Jarno Opmeer. They're going to be following in tandem for the next few laps, I would imagine. This is going to be helping out the likes of Wilson Hughes and Dylan Warren in behind as well, because if they're backing up into each other, then it's just going to be a little bit more time that Wilson Hughes and Dylan Warren can maintain a gap with them. So I'd say they're in a great position at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. Joe Hannon still nursing a half a second delta between him and Jarno Opmeer. So a great opportunity here for the Alfa Romeo. Can he unleash it? This is going to be a hefty battle for this P2 spot, and I get the feeling that Joe Hannon was just being patient. A little bit of caution. He had every chance to make the move on that previous lap, but he might choose to do it this time with the DRS opened up now. Goes alongside Jarno Opmeer and beats him into turn 1. The Alfa Romeo that was done by Jarno Opmeer last season has actually now typified him for that P2 spot. Joe Hannon in absolute adulation. P2 to the youngster. Tremendous scenes.
Yeah, now it shifts back the way of Jarno Opmeer, because now he's going to have the advantage of DRS on Joe Hannon for the remaining few laps in this Grand Prix, and Wilson Hughes still going to be able to get a look in here, but Jarno Opmeer could be closing this gap very soon, as all this fighting is allowing Danny Moreno to stretch his advantage. He's now 3.6 seconds clear of Joe Hannon in P2, and Jarno Opmeer is just 0.3 shy of the Alfa Romeo car, looking to disrupt the harmony of the Mercedes 1-2 at the moment, but possibly through in towards turn number 1. Jarno Opmeer could fight back and make a comeback on Joe Hannon. We'll just have to wait and see it through Sagres corner now. They've got about 0.4, about half a second actually, between each other. Is that enough of a gap for Jan Ortman to close and overtake Johanan? He's a little bit better on the battery at this point in time. 45%. Is he going to try and use it in towards turn number 1? I just think he's a bit too far back here, George. 4/10 is the gap between the pair of them. Lap 29 begins here. Johanan remains in P2.
Yeah, brilliant stuff indeed. Lewis Welch as well going for a key move here on Simon Perigny. Gets himself up into P6. Incredible stuff indeed, and moves his way up, further up in the classification. That is exactly what he needed. And Lewis Welch, once again, following on from a positive win yesterday in F2, has now come up with another top 10 finish, this time in P6. So not bad at all from that man, but Perigny still right on his tail right now. Jarno Opmeer still chasing on the rear of Johanan. This fight is still going on. Wilson Hughes still in the scrap in behind as well. Dylan Warren trying to join him as they now round their way through the next right-hander now. And certainly the Mercedes looking to power on through. Needs to try and stay on the tail. He was energy saving earlier. Knows that perhaps that P2 is all he can get. But all he can hope for now is for a double Mercedes lockout. Can they get a P1 and a P2 with Danny Moreno on for currently his first win of the season here at this circuit of Portimao as they now round the next right-hander. This time Opmeer getting closer, 0.6 of a second separate him and Johanan as they come out of the next right-hander at Sagre. What's the latest, Dan?
Jarno Opmeer's got a 3-second time penalty there, so if he gets that one removed, then he'll be happy there. But really unfortunate for the rest of this race. If he has that penalty, he will be losing a number of positions to his rivals behind.
Yeah, absolutely. We don't see those very often, Dan. We don't see those often at all. Jarno is very much a driver that we very rarely see time penalties for. So extraordinary. Absolutely extraordinary. We did not anticipate that whatsoever. But a penalty at a key moment in lap 30 of 33. And wowee, Johanan is now in with a great chance of securing his first podium this season.
Absolutely. I'm seeing calls that Jarno might have 2 false warnings, and if that is the case, then that will get removed. We've seen that in the past here, but for now, Johannan's just got to keep his wits about him. They can't take any chances really, because penalties can get removed. So they have got to keep about their wits and make the positions on a track. And Johanan already knows that Jarno Opmeer might be a little bit flustered from having that penalty, and he is taking advantage. He's beginning to stretch his gap. Now 0.6 of a second as more penalties coming out here. They're really struggling around here. Almost half the grid has got a 3-second time penalty at the very least to their neighbour. Jarno Opmeer losing a lot of time to Johanan now with a 3-second time penalty as well. It's not looking good as lap 31 begins.
Yeah, absolutely. 31 now. 2 laps remain in this race as they now make their way down the stretch here. Or 3 laps if you want to include this one as they round the next right-hander this time. Jarno Opmeer in P3. Danny Moreno still on top though. Mercedes still holding on to a very key position in this race. In behind though, look at Wilson Hughes licking his lips knowing that the Dutchman has got a penalty. Obviously, we're not sure whether that will be removed, but we'll have to wait and see. Naturally, Opmeer will still want to try and get the position out on track. He's still got Johanan to contest with and currently right on the rear of that Alfa Romeo now. 3.5 tenths the delta as they now fly up through the next hill, heading down towards the next right at Portimao. Actually, no, they're heading around Samsung now. Craig Jones is going to be next at turn 9 as they make their way across the crest, heading around the next left-hander. Still the Alfa Romeo of Johanan in P2. Jarno Opmeer in P3. Wilson Hughes in P4. Still on the tail of the Flying Dutchman. Dylan Warren in P5 as well, with Louis Welch trying to crawl himself back into the delta window for P6, but he's currently still maintaining a 2.8 second delta between him and Dylan Warren, so that's not improving anytime soon as they now round the next right-hander. Still Opmeer chasing. 3 seconds of time penalties applied as Samuel Bean now goes for a move on Ruben Pedreño in absolutely archaic fashion, Dan.
Absolutely, but it might not be over because Ruben Pedreño is going to have the run in towards turn number 1, and Antoine Dezelowski could be looking to take advantage of these two fighting, because now we see a 3 wide affair into the downhill section, turn number 1. Antoine Dezelowski, the ever opportunist, he makes that move in towards the first corner. Pedreño makes his way back up into P8, and that all started from Samuel Bean going for that move. They're all scrapping out for the lower end of the points pay position, but it still might not be over because we now have another DRS straight already, and these guys try for a lurching dive bomb move in towards Torre Vips. Not quite, but wow, brilliant stuff from Desaluski. He's made that move stick in brilliant fashion to Pedreño.
Yeah, in absolutely brilliant fashion indeed. A great move from Antoine Desaluski, and really primed it to his advantage, and that's exactly what we like to see, folks. An actual incredibly decent run heading down into turn 1 3 wide at that point of the circuit is what you'd firmly expect, and that's exactly what they showed us. But it might be there might be another one on the cards here as they wind their way through the middle sector. A little bit out of shape there, Samuel Bean, but he still maintains a 0.3 of a second gap between him and Ruben Pedreño, who's in P8, as they then wind their way through the next right. Remember, Antoine Desaluski, 3-second time penalty as they now come around the next right as they make their way through towards the downhill swinging section of the Galp corner at turn 15. Huge opportunity now for Ruben Pedreño to try and score back a position. In behind, though, Samuel Bean looks the more bigger threat, though, as they make their way across towards the stand side. Still, though, the AlphaTauri. It's Samuel Bean, Joe Hannon and Jana Watmere going wheel to wheel around the next left-hander. Sorry to cut away, folks, but Hannon losing out to the Flying Dutchman as they head down towards Torre Vip. Joe Hannon round the outside now with Jana Watmere, but the Dutchman has got him. The Dutchman has got him.
Oh, but Johannen's going to come back at him through turn 6 and to turn number 7, the inside line for the Alfa Romeo car. He does not want to lose out on this position. Johannen fights him back. He takes that position. Jana Watmere now going to swing it back in towards turn number 9, up towards turn 10 and 11. Can he go for a lurching move, possibly around the outside? He doesn't make that move stick. Johannen, brilliant stuff to maintain that position, as Danny Moreno as well. He stretched his advantage. He's led it from a very early margin since Lucas Blakely had his issue there. Danny Moreno through the final corner for the final time. For the final time in PSGL season 29. He's going to cross the line. Moreno's a winner. But what about Jana Watmere and Johannen? It could be onto the line. Oh my goodness me. Who's going to take the position? Watmere, P2 I think at the line. But of course with the penalties, Johannen takes the podium. That could be contested though. Brilliant stuff right at the death of it.
He's yet to win a race this season, but nevertheless, what a performance. Danny Moreno wins here at Portimao for the Algarve GP here at PSGL. Sensational indeed. Johannen up into P2 after the penalty for Watmere. Watmere was certainly P2 across the line, but obviously the penalty will have to be looked at by the stewards. Incredible stuff indeed. But nevertheless, Danny Moreno, his first win in the last race of the season. If the penalty's removed, it's a Merc 1-2, but credit indeed, nevertheless, to Johannen. He pushed Watmere right the way through the race. And what about Wilson Hughes as well? Right up there for the fight, folks. Let's have a look at the results after the podium. But there's that man, Danny Moreno, on top step. He will spray the champagne on the top step of the podium. What a race. And very, very well managed indeed by the Spaniard. He did it in absolutely brilliant fashion, did exactly what he needed to do. Second place, indeed, goes to that man Johannen, at least for now. And in behind as well, you've got the Scotsman, Wilson Hughes, in behind him as well. A big future for these young stars of the future, indeed. Certainly that man, Wilson Hughes, signed to Veloce in the McLaren Shadow team. And he gets them at P3 as it stands. Dylan Warren, another solid performance around Portimao, P4. Jana Watmere in P5, but Danny Moreno is your winner, folks. Jana Watmere did get the fastest lap of the race. He finishes in P5, subject to the penalty being removed, which could see him up into P2. Louis Welch in P6. Samuel Bean in P7, with Ruben Pedreño P8. Antoine Desaluski P9, with Pato Stachulek P10. Sam Corby P11. Tom Martinez, what a recovery drive. Last up into P12. Brilliant for him. Ben Chabo Conyi up into P13. Ulas Gilderim in P14. Norberto in P15 with Simon Perigny P16. Lucas Blakely, a bit of a hard day at the office. P17 for the man who started pole. Ruben Vallejo P18. And obviously we lost him earlier on with Jake Benham. We lost as well as Luke Smith. But what a race, folks. Incredible drama. Danny Moreno picks up his first win this season. But how about that battle right towards the end? Watmere and Johannen pushing each other to the limit, Stanfield.
Oh my god, it was brilliant between both of the pair. The pair of them were fighting so hard. It was incredible. Right to the line. I'm wondering actually, the gap was actually, I think I've just been removed from the lobby there, but I think he was just ahead of Johannen at the line. We might even need some VAR, so maybe some offside technology. I don't know quite the terminology there, but I think certainly, Jan Altman is going to be contesting that penalty, and we could still see a 1-2 for Mercedes.
Oh, absolutely. It could well be on the cards. We'll have to keep an eye on it. We have got some interviews lined up in the live chat, though. We're actually joined by two very sensational human beings, two stars of the future as well. In fact, none other than Joe Hannon and Wilson Hughes. We're going to start, though, with Joe Hannon, though. Joe, where did that come from, mate? We haven't seen form like that from you in a long, long time.
No, I don't know, really. I was just feeling quite confident going into the race. It's my first F1 race of the season, obviously. And yeah, I don't really know. This track sort of suits my driving style, I guess. But yeah, I don't really know why. I was quite competitive, really.
Well, it was sensational, pushing Otmir around the track. Obviously, he's the current PSGL champion, the current F1 esports champion as well. He's a two-time PSGL champion to boot. Honestly, he's always a threat, but the fact that you were racing wheel to wheel, what a phenomenal exchange between the pair of you heading around the middle sector. Did you enjoy that battle?
Not really. I was kind of hoping I didn't take him out because since like lap 10, I basically had like no force feedback, so I really couldn't feel much of what was happening. So yeah, I didn't really enjoy it that much, but I guess looking back at it, it was a good battle, and yeah.
No, certainly
I can enjoy it now.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was great to watch. Certainly amazing from our point of view. Looking ahead, though, obviously no esports for yourself this season, but obviously league racing still very much, I'd imagine, part of your plans. We have got another season of PSGL only just around the corner after F1 esports. Are you going to be having your eyes set on a tier 1 spot? Is that the plan heading into the next season?
Yeah, I guess trying to get a full-time tier 1 seat for next season, if it's possible. I don't know. And yeah, maybe doing challenges and stuff like that. But to be honest, I just really want to have some fun on this game. I'm not taking it too seriously.
Well,
so, yeah.
Well, I got to say, nevertheless, if you're not taking it seriously, I'd love to see what you can do if you do take it seriously. A tremendous result. P2 on track, but obviously we'll have to wait. Well, P2 after the penalty was applied, but nevertheless we'll have to wait and see whether that does get removed or not. But congratulations on a great drive, Joe. Incredible stuff.
Cheers.
Well done. We're also joined by Danny Moreno, folks. Danny Moreno joining us in the commentary booth, I think for the first time this season. Danny, welcome to PSGL. Welcome to the Combox.
Good evening, thank you.
How you keeping? That was a sensational result, a great drive, good performance. You managed it well. The strategy seemed to work.
Yeah, strategy worked perfectly. Starting P2 with mediums, I knew it was going to be possibly, I was going to have a huge advantage towards the end, but I didn't expect to have that good pace during the whole race. And yeah, I was pretty shocked when I came out of the pits in the lead again. So yeah, really happy with my pace, and it's quite a confidence boost coming into next week F1 esports.
Yeah, how are you feeling about F1 esports? It's just around the corner. We're talking days away. How's the mood in the Mercedes camp? All positive? Obviously, league racing has gone well for you. You've won the team's championship. So, like you say, confidence. You must be full of it heading into next week.
Yeah, I think we are full of confidence. I think we can do a nice job next week. And yeah, we really believe in ourselves, and hopefully we can show it with the result.
Yeah, well, we look forward to seeing that, certainly. And obviously, looking ahead to league racing in your future, obviously your first win this season, believe it or not, after claiming podiums earlier on. How would you summarise your season this year on PSGL? Has it gone to plan, or are there some things that you think could have been improved on? What's the most vital area, would you say, that needs work?
I think the most vital area is qualifying, because I think I have a really good race pace always. It's just I never get a good result in qualifying, so that's probably the thing I have to work the most.
Yeah, well, we'll soon look forward to that. And the next big question is, are we going to be seeing you next season in PSGL?
Yes, you
Brilliant.
will see me.
Excellent. Well, is it Danfield chanting there? Brilliant stuff. But Danny, great race, mate, and honestly, great to finally hear you in the comms box. I think this is the first time we've spoken in a long time, but look forward to seeing how you get on in esports, and I hope you do translate that win today into another positive result. Well done, mate.
Yeah, have a good night.
And you too. Take care, Danny. Next up, Wilson Hughes. Wilson, sorry to leave you as the last man here, mate, but I hope you had a good race. It certainly looked like you did. You had a big scrap on your hands, certainly a battle of two halves, I would have thought, actually. You were sort of dealt a blow from behind and a blow from the front. It must have been a hard race to manage.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of asked for a hard race to manage when I didn't qualify on the mediums in Q2. But yeah, it was fun nevertheless. It was a bit tricky knowing who to defend from and who to not. There was no way I was going to get Danny, obviously, because he came out ahead. But in general, it was all right. The tyres are a bit gone at the end because setup changes didn't happen at the start of the race. But in general, I'm really happy with how it went. And yeah, it was quite tough to manage at the end there. I was kind of hoping the top or two, second and third, would take each other out. I can't lie. That I was sitting there looking, oh, maybe if one of them just rattles each other off the track, that would have been nice, but they didn't. So I'll definitely take where I finished.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was a great drive. You certainly gave your all out there. You look positive. You look content. I mean, how's things since you moved into the McLaren camp? Because obviously I've seen you being very active. You went to the McLaren HQ. Just talk us through that. How was that experience?
Yeah, well, I've been there longer than you think, to be honest. It's been only announced recently. I've been there for quite a while already. So it's nothing really drastic to me so far. But yeah, I mean, it's been fantastic. And if anything, to be honest, I'm not trying to hide anything here. It's amazing having a McLaren name next to you. Such a privilege and such an iconic brand. It's just amazing to have that name next to you. But yeah, it's just amazing.
Yeah, well, we certainly look forward to seeing how it's translated in the future. I mean, obviously, no esports yet for you at the moment. Obviously, you're listed as an Academy Shadow, an Academy driver, if I'm right in saying that, for McLaren. But obviously, in terms of what you're looking at in the future, will it also be F1 esports challenges for yourself, or have you got anything else on the precipice that you'd like to achieve?
Oh, definitely F1 esports challengers, because obviously the end goal with being an Academy driver, the end goal is to make that next step up into being a main driver like Josh done, for example. So that's the main goal. But yeah, 100% be doing challengers. We'll be going for the win in that. And yeah, definitely esports next year, hopefully.
And another PSGL season next season?
Oh, you know it, Josh.
Good man, good man. Congratulations on another cracking result, Wilson. Great to have you over PC for once, obviously tearing things up in PlayStation. We'll look forward to seeing you again next season, my friend.
Thanks a lot, George.
Thank you, Wilson. Thank you. And next up on our list, we have the boss man himself. It's Connor, folks, after a great season, a very, very funny season, in fact. I'm not sure whether it's great or if it's an odd one. Certainly not one we expected, Connor. But nevertheless, nice to finish at a brand new track.
Yeah, nice to finish and good to see like some new guys up there and fighting and, getting a lot of exposure for themselves. So yeah, credit to, the top three. Obviously great to see Danny finally taking the deserved win, and also obviously, Wilson, Joe, and Dylan all, performing very well. But yeah, obviously, it is the end of the season, so I'll just, join for a few words to, say goodbye type thing. So yeah, no, great stuff as always.
No, absolutely. I 100% agree with you. And it's been a bit of a strange one. Naturally, we've had to combat a lot of uncomfortable situations, but I think we've done our utmost. We've in fact got Lucas Blakely in the waiting room as well. Should we bring him in? Should we bring in Lucas? Let's bring in Lucas. Yeah. We'll bring in Lucas Blakely. In last minute, Lucas Blakely, the man, Bomber Blakely, just did not happen today. The race just... I'm running out of adjectives for luck at this moment in time, or a thesaurus is what I need. I'm going to ask the missus to get me one for Christmas, I think. But Lucas, when's it going to end, mate?
Whenever the game decides to ghost cars that I've disconnected and have came out the pit lane. So yeah, that's when it'll end. I'm understandably very angry, to be honest, because yeah, I'm not here to bash anything. I mean, I've already ranted enough to my poor stream, bless them, but yeah, I don't really have much words to say apart from the fact that, yeah, I was really quite happy with qualifying, even though I didn't feel like it got optimised in Q3. I was actually quicker in Q2, I think, so... I'm happy with the positives with the pole, which was nice, and I didn't even know if I'd joined the the interview. I'd literally switched my stream off a few minutes ago, but I don't know, I need something just to take my mind off it, because I'm really... as you see, I'm just lost for words, because I was leading the race, I was trying to control the pace, just trying to get a rhythm. It's quite tricky to manage the softs with the temperatures, so just trying to find my groove, and I felt like as the race went on I would have got much more, comfortable as it went, but then for whatever reason, I don't know whether someone has been either has genuinely disconnected or they've been too lazy to go in the pit lane and retire, but for some reason an Alpine was going very, very slowly through turn 1 out of the pits, a lap down, disconnected, and it didn't ghost. and I don't know why. It should have ghosted, but it slowed right down on the racing line, and that's why I spun, and I watched the stream back there. And obviously you guys would have been so confused because all of a sudden I'm off with wing damage, but yeah, it was because of a car that decided to go. So that just goes on the list of things that have cost me a race victory this season, I guess. Because if I didn't laugh, I would genuinely cry, because as much as this isn't maybe F1 esports, I still would have loved to have won races this year, and I feel like I don't want to sound entitled, but I feel like I've been due quite a few wins at this point in this season, but it's literally gone away somehow every single time. You can't write it. You cannot script it. I genuinely in disbelief. But again, enough about me. I mean, GG to the Mercedes on a dominant season, I guess, as a whole, and Danny Moreno on the win. And I believe Joe and Wilson got rounded out the podium, if I'm not mistaken. So GG to them, is that the case? Yeah, did they get the podium?
Yeah, they did for now. I mean, obviously Otmia got a penalty, so that's sent a little bit of a question mark there. But we do have reason to believe there could be a reason to contest it. But we'll have to wait and see. So crossing the line as the results were seen after the race, it was Joe Hannon in P2 and Wilson Hughes in P3.
Nah, GG regardless though. I mean, it looked like quite a tight fight. Well, I mean, apart from Danny Moreno, he literally looked like he was off in a different race on the mini-map, because the entirety of my race was spent on a set of hard tyres that had no grip, driving alone. I was begging for a safety car, so that was quite easily the most boring race I've ever done in league racing. Driving alone, I honestly wouldn't recommend it. I mean, it's just additional frustration when I'm driving all day. I look forward to PSGL. I do an hour's practice for this race, throw on the time trial setup, and put it on pole, and I'm really happy. And then all of a sudden, this sort of shit takes you out. Sorry for the language, actually, but this sort of thing happens. So yeah, it's just the way it is. But it's how many times?
No, I mean, I think I broke the PG code at Monza, so don't worry about that. Everything went out the window that day. But no, honestly, I mean, it's harsh to see it end that way for you, because I mean, what a preseason. Let's talk about that preseason, because you had a great run. I think you won 3 consecutive. Well, you had poles, didn't you? Poles right through. And then you had the race wins in all of them that you competed in at the very start. So you couldn't come into the season with any more confidence. You certainly looked like the one to beat at the start of the season.
Well, I mean, pre-season was good with the social races and stuff, but I mean, I didn't join the interview to make it a sort of poor me sort of thing. That's not at all what I want. But what I also want to say as well is just a massive GG to everyone at PSGL as a whole, because I mean, the amount of especially recently as well with the issues with connections and desync and stuff like that, just to keep persevering for solutions and putting on what has been the biggest league racing spectacle ever. And the levels of league racing is raised massively, and it's massively down to the work that you guys put in, week out. So I wanted to join and say this first and foremost as well, because it's you take time out of your lives to do stuff, that all through the passion for what we all eventually love at the end of the day. So it's I just want to make that clear as to hopefully that we're all very grateful for you guys putting this even together in the first place and giving us the platform to hopefully entertain everyone. And yeah, that's, I think, at the very when you boil it all down, I think that's the most important thing, or one of the most important things to come out of this season is what you guys have sort of created. So and it's only going to get bigger. That's not even as a guarantee. It's only going to get bigger. It's only going to get better. And this all comes down to a lot of hard work for a long time from you all. So it's. I just want to say my piece on that is, massive GG to you all, massive GG to the drivers as well for, what was an entertaining season, I hope. Maybe not that race for me, but very much a lot of memories, a lot of fun, and yeah, I hopefully look forward to being back in the future, whenever that may be, for more, because I've certainly enjoyed my return to league racing. I mean, here in PSGL, and it's something that I didn't realise how much I would have enjoyed. I mean, I was so excited for tonight. I was like, yo, I'm gonna get to. I've not drove Portimao in like weeks, but you know what? I'm excited as hell to finally race around this track and hopefully send the season out with some, some good battles. Albeit this didn't happen, but that was the sort of excitement, and that's something that you don't always get for esports. I mean, esports is just stress. You lose years of your life from doing esports. So it's been a very welcoming experience, and yeah, I just want to say, I mean, and to everyone watching, I hope that you've enjoyed the season as well, and I hope that you guys continue to enjoy it in the future, and yeah, that's really it.
Oh, well, I got to say, it's been a phenomenal season, and we're looking forward to the next one, really, I think, because obviously that is when hopefully a lot of the issues we've had will be fixed, and we can go on with a brand new season. It's going to be bigger than ever next season, because we've actually brought in the likes of, there's rumours that we could be seeing Marcel Kiefer, maybe Brendan Lee joining up as well. So we could be seeing some big names making their way across. So, brace yourselves, folks. We're going to be in for a hellacious ride. So you will obviously get another chance. There's always next season, Lucas, and I think season 30 is going to be the biggest one to do it in as well, and hopefully a long season ahead. But in terms of F1 esports now next season, confidence levels high in the Aston Martin camp?
Well, I mean, I'd say confidence is high now, but the minute you get in that qualifying session, you would rather wish you're not there. Because it is the most... I don't think what people understand is how high pressure it is. Like, people might just see it as a game, but if you're in F1 esports, you would rather be doing anything but F1 esports during the qualifying sessions, because it is so high pressure. But if you deliver under that pressure and you find your groove, you get yourself in the zone mentally, I mean, that's, what's going to deliver you. So, I mean, I'd say driving-wise, personally speaking, I'm really confident going towards the season. But at the end of the day, you've got to be able to deliver it in the session, and hopefully, I'm not really setting like expectation. I mean, I know what I can do within myself. But I believe that I approach it with the correct measured approach, that hopefully, good results can occur. But the competition is unbelievable. So, it's not going to be easy, because when everybody starts sweating something for weeks and weeks and weeks, it boils down to the smallest margins, and yeah, it becomes a very different sort of thing. So I'm looking forward to it. I mean, it's kind of weird to think it's next week. I don't really think it doesn't feel like it's next week, but I mean, I've definitely sort of warmed myself up as such through the league racing side, which has been really fun. Yeah, I mean, roll on next week, I guess. I mean, I don't really know what else to say to it. Still a lot of hard work needs to go in. I mean, the work doesn't just stop. Every day is a continuous grind. I mean, this week alone, you would be horrified to think how much time I spend in my rig. It is a lot of effort. I mean, physically right now I am knackered, and then even tomorrow I'll be back at it again, pushing non-stop. So yeah, it takes a lot, but at the end of the day, if it goes your way, it all becomes worth it. So I look forward to it.
Well, we look forward to seeing the performance as well, Lucas, and it's great to have you racing with us this season. We do look forward to having you back with us as well, and of course, we'll send as much luck as we can from us here at PSGL. I'm not sure whether that's worth a lot, considering what luck usually you get when you race here, but we'll see how it goes nevertheless. But great work on a very hectic season. We'll look forward to seeing you back for the next one.
Thank you very much for your time. Take care, everyone that's watching, and take care of yourselves, everyone here on the call as well. But yeah, take care, everyone.
Thank you, Lucas. Thank you so much. We're going to bring back Connor from the realms of behind the scenes. Connor, what a season! I think obviously it's been fun. I think the brilliant thing behind it, whereas it may have been flooded with its own issues, I think if you look at it, I mean, the appetite for PSGL has never been more vibrant. I mean, we've seen so many new people get involved on the broadcasts, and it's been an epic season in terms of drama. I mean, I don't think we've had as much drama in the minimal amount of races that we've had in comparison to last season. I think it's been tremendous.
Yeah, I think you've summed it up really well, George. You know, it's been probably the toughest, let's say, league racing few months I've ever been like part of. So I've been in league racing team for like 10 years. Every hurdle, but we've tried to get through it, and we've put on a great product. You know, obviously on Thursdays, the product probably looks a lot better than what we go through every day or every week to put it together. So, I'm extremely grateful to obviously yourself, to Jack, to Dan for your great commentary and streaming, and obviously all the esports drivers. We've had like 25, 26 esports drivers, putting their faith in PSGL. So, I thank every single one of you, and obviously I do have my favourites and who want to see do well, but obviously to you all, I wish you good luck for the season ahead in esports, and excited to see what happens there. But yeah, PSGL, what's happened this year to us been beyond all our expectations and all of our dreams, not to sound too cringy. So yeah, I'm forever grateful.
Well, what this does mean as well, we're on the precipice of another new season. Season 30 is going to be huge, I think. Obviously, it's after esports, so obviously we'll focus on esports for the next few months. But when that comes to an end, we'll hopefully have a perfectly well-working game, because I understand the fix is being worked on. So we should get that for the start, but also we could be seeing some new personalities from the world of F1 esports joining the fray as well. So we could be in for a really tasty championship for season 30.
Yeah, I think it's going to be bigger and better. Hopefully we see like the McLaren boys, Barry and Josh come back. Obviously, we've talked about Marcel potentially making his way over to league racing. Obviously, Marcel's got a really big fan base. So, if Jano and Marcel go head to head after esports and PSGL, it's only going to benefit us all and going to benefit league racing as a whole. So yeah, a lot of time into obviously season 30, which will get underway in January. But obviously, we've got a few months off. Well, certainly you guys have just to enjoy esports, just to reflect on what we've achieved. But obviously, F2 and all that sort of stuff will continue as normal. So yeah, it's going to be exciting. But I think it's a good break for us all as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And just some comments from me as well, folks. It's been a tremendous season 29, obviously with the challenges. We fought back and we did it for you guys at home as well. You've tuned in every Thursday without fail, and staying up to date with all the action that's happened week in, week out. Jana Watmir, of course, taking the championship, with Mercedes taking the team's championship last week at China, and it came where it brought us to this point at Portimao, where it would just be a straight fight between all the drivers in behind, and they didn't disappoint with all the action that we had on track. Certainly we look ahead to F1 esports with great anticipation, and wish the drivers who have raced with us the very best of luck heading into that. Well, certainly when you talk about F1 esports, that is the place to be, and certainly we'll be looking forward to seeing how our drivers perform at that event. And like, as I said, we wish them the very best luck. But just to make the point perfectly clear, folks, league racing needs your support. You've supported it all season long. You've been supporting it for a good while now, and we thank each and every one of you for all your interest into everything we have done here today. It's a pleasure to bring you the action each and every day. PSGL has grown massively over the past couple of years. Certainly in the last year or so, it has been absolutely absolutely titanic, the growth that we have seen. So we want to thank each and every one of you, and I really hope you are going to leave a like and a subscribe on this stream, and obviously onto the channel as well. If you want to check out Premier Sim Gaming Leagues, you can check them out on Twitter at Premier Sim GL, and you can check them a follow on there as well. You can also check me out on Twitter as well. That's at George Morgan TV. I'm just going to bring you in though, Dan, just to sum things up. Obviously you came in the final few races of the season, but nevertheless, it was great to have you aboard, because obviously Jack Kinnan, he's a hard act to follow, isn't he?
Oh god, yeah, it was very difficult coming in first time. Of course, it was only a few weeks ago that I came in the PSGL F1 commentary box for the first time, but the nerves were certainly there, especially since I was following in the footsteps and filling his space of Jack Kinnan. Of course, making the responsible decision of deciding to not shout over some cars on a game. He's actually taken his education seriously, and I really do respect that, and hopefully one day he can be back in a PSGL commentary box. But from me, it's been a brilliant season, of course, doing F2, and I've been a part of PSGL since the beginning of F1 2020. I've got experience in the league, and I was very, very comfortable very early on, and it's been great doing it alongside you too. So I think it's been on the whole, it's been a great season of PSGL.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're going to shout out your Twitter handle as well, so you can get some people involved.
I'll go on then. So my Twitter name is Danfield F1 _. I think I've got that one right. Yeah, I have. So Danfield F1 _. All of that is in lowercase.
There you go, folks. You can check out Danfield then. I am, of course, at George Morgan TV, so you can leave us follows if you like as well and get in touch. I'm also going to ask Connor to share his as well, because I know he's lurking in the background.
Yeah, as always, yeah, at Big C _19.
Yeah, brilliant. So thank you all, folks, for joining us here for an absolutely phenomenal Season 29, full of action and drama, but nevertheless, the action never stops. We'll see you next time for Season 30, but make sure you stay tuned to all the PSGL action still running. F2 is still very much in charge and still on top. We've also got the PlayStation Leagues as well running as well. So stay tuned. Enjoy F1 Esports. We'll see you in Season 29. Goodbye.